Hello and welcome to episode 128 of Gamers of Lost Park podcast, and this, an extra special one, it's our E3 Spectacular. I'm your host, Antony Chesson, and joining me this week is the other Sparks on the pod, two guys who have had E3 conferences beamed into their eyeballs for the last 4 days. It's Manny Brown and Steve Carter.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going? How is your second Christmas?
Oh, it's just so cool. Christmas for gamers, I love it. It's just so much fun. It's like you read the internet and it's actually interesting for once, like just for a week.
Yeah, because there's nothing of interest at all going on at the minute, like nothing at all. Nothing at all whatsoever. But no, you're right. This week is the most interesting part. I had a question for you as well. Just out of curiosity, how many games have you pre-ordered in the last 2 days?
Do you know what? Right now, I haven't pre-ordered any.
Not a single one. I'm shocked.
Not a single one.
But you're the king of pre-orders. What's going on?
I know. I normally do that, because E3's only officially just started, even though it feels like it's been going on for years. It has just officially started today. So normally what I do, that's normally a Saturday morning after E3. Kind of go, it used to be like Amazon and things like that, but now you kind of just go to Microsoft Store and kind of download. There's lots of awesome games that we'll be talking about, and I'm very close to pre-ordering Overcooked 2. On Xbox, because you get extra chefs. So none at the moment, but they ask me again next week.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll ask you again on Sunday for sure, and that credit card's going to be hit hard.
Yes. Well, yeah, it's great because Microsoft doesn't actually charge your account until 10 days before.
Right. I didn't know that,
well.
Actually. That's not too bad.
So, yes, because you always get that they kind of send you an email just before. I don't know what it's like with Sony or Nintendo, but I know kind of Microsoft like that. It's quite interesting actually, because we had a bit of a discussion, didn't we, yesterday or the day before, which was Forza Horizon 4, which was, spoiler alert, we'll get to in a moment, which was announced during the Xbox one. They have an Ultimate Edition. So, and I had a quandary that I put to the group, was like, what do I do? Do I order the Ultimate Edition, or do I just get it free with Games Pass?
Yeah, I think James was not exactly happy with you asking that question, was he? He was just a little bit miffed.
He put me right. Thomas put me right. He kind of like...
It is a fair point, though, because you will basically be paying £100 to play it, 5 days early, basically, as opposed to Game Pass?
Yeah,
and obviously you get all the trinkets.
I think it's $79. Yeah, it's $79.99, and you get 2 DLCs, VIP, so you get double XP.
That's just cheating.
You get the map feature. Yeah, that's why I've got 30 million in my Forza Horizon 3 account. You get some car packs, and you get all that sort of stuff. So there is bonus tchotchkes with it, so there is stuff there. But it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because what about if they ever take it away? What about if they take it away? If they take it out of Games Pass? We haven't dealt with anything going out of Games Pass yet,
have they actually said what if they'll do that? Because I know they said obviously they're going to add everything to it from first-party studios, but I suppose they've not really said if they could remove stuff like Netflix style or have stuff rotating in and out.
That's it. I mean, the other day I wanted to watch something on Netflix. I was like, oh, I'll go and watch it. I know it was on Netflix. I went there and it wasn't there anymore. It had gone. So, but then again, I guess I should just listen to James, not pre-order, and if that day ever happens, and I'm still playing Forza Horizon 4, then I can buy it then.
Keep him happy.
But anyway, that was a good question. So guys, how's your week been? How are things in your world, Manny?
Yeah, not too bad at all. I've been on here for ages, actually, so I'm just going to spend the next 5 hours telling you exactly what I've been doing for the past 6 months, if that's right. We've got nothing else to talk about, so I prepared a massive list.
No.
Last week I've not really been doing much at all, apart from watching the E3 stuff. So what am I doing? Outside of that, I'm brewing some beer at the moment. I've got a nice IPA going. I've just set the fridge to cold crash it today. So that's when you get to the end of the very close to sort of bottling the beer. Then you set the fridge as cold as you can to drop all the little particles out of it, so you get like a clear beer. Oh, so that's what I've been doing today.
Wow.
Then I'll bottle that on Saturday. Then I'm going to make another one on Sunday. So there we go.
Superb. So the IPA that you're brewing now, when's that drinkable? I'm just got my calendar here.
Yeah, I know. Once you've bottled it, generally between sort of 2 and 3 weeks, because it needs time to carbonate in the bottle. I mean, you could drink it straight away, but it's flat, basically.
Right.
So yeah,
right.
around about sort of 2 or 3 weeks, and I'm sure I can sling some up in the post to you both.
Oh, that's just so cool. And then you get Steve to come over, and then he'll rate it as points.
I know.
Yeah. He would just.
I might be a bit nervous for that, to be honest. I might just have to send it to you first.
You sort of
get that critical
debut on Untapped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you tried that Untapped app? Have you actually tried that? Because you can actually set locations in the app. So you could set your house as like a little Manny microbrewery.
Really? Damn, that means I need to come up with a name for the brewery, don't I? Okay, I'll have to ponder on that one.
Challenge dished out. So, Steve, how are things with you, sir? Apart from E3 non-stop, how's things with you, sir?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm not brewing beer, just drinking beer up north. But yeah, mostly beyond E3, just playing Sea of Thieves mainly. Just been jumping on that pretty much every night this week. So looking forward to the new stuff. You know, the Megalodon and the new stuff that's coming out at the end of this year that we got announced as part of the E3 trailer. So yeah, I'm just trying to build up as much as I can, get a bit more experience. So I'm not the noob, you know, ploughing the ship into the sandbanks and you know, remembering to hurl the sails in at the right moment and drop the anchor. You know, I'm trying not to do a Chesson. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yes. I was gonna say that's my job. My job is to get scorned by James and
the Chesson
generally
maneuver.
Park really bad.
Yeah.
Yes. It's
Hope
going to
for
be
the
in there.
best.
It's going to be an achievement. It's going to be an achievement later on. If you crash your ship, you get the Chesson maneuver achievement. So, E3 has started. So, like I say, this is kind of more of a kind of E3 spectacular. I believe it's the third. It must be the third. It must be the third Spark E3 spectacular. But before we start breaking down the conferences and jumping into all of the good stuff, don't forget you can rate, review, and subscribe to this very podcast for free on iTunes and YouTube. Right. So, E3, guys, let's jump in. We'll go through all of the conferences, kind of breaking down the news, the announcements, and the surprises, which there were quite a few. So, first up, on Saturday, was EA. So, did you guys watch it live? Did you kind of just catch it later?
I kind of dipped in and out, really. I think I watched a bit of it live whilst I was gaming and kind of just kept dipping in and out, watching bits, and then kind of just following bits on Twitter and social media and other coverage from other websites as well. So, which I think Microsoft's the only real conference that I watched from start to finish, purely.
Right.
A lot of them I've dipped in and out of, really, which I think Microsoft was the main one for me, which we'll come on to a little bit later. But yeah, I thought, in all honesty, it was a bit flat, a little bit disappointing. I thought, you know, they could have potentially got the show off to a bit more of a high intensity start. There was nothing really in there that we weren't expecting or didn't already know about, which I think that's kind of a year for it at the moment, where we're going to get just a bit more information about stuff that we already know is coming. But I think I'm the only one that's not excited by Anthem. I think, you know,
how could you not be excited about Anthem? Anyway, we'll get to Anthem because that was their last thing. So the EA show, I thought they did a really good job. I thought Andrea Renee, who did the hosting, I thought she did a really good job. You know, there is a problem that you kind of saw, and Nicola, my wife, kind of noted a few times when she was watching the conferences or the pre-conferences. You know, there's a lot of people just being kind of pretend to be excited, and it just comes off wrong. And they're just like, but Andrea Renee, who is she's on Kind of Funny, and she has her own YouTube, which is What's Good Game. She was like, she loves this stuff, and you could tell that, I think, from it. I think she was really kind of doing the best she could, and I thought she did quite a good job of kind of keeping the show together, because they started off with Anthem, and then after that they went to Battlefield 5. And they went to kind of Battlefield 5 and announced that Battlefield 5 is going to have a Battle Royale mode.
Yeah, which I'm quite looking forward to, but I'm thinking, Steve, you're not so much of a fan, are you?
No, it's just everyone's trying to do it, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, it's just everyone's trying to do Battle Royale, and it's just do something new. Just do what Battlefield does. Battlefield kind of stands out from the crowd enough as it is, because it's not Call of Duty; it does its own thing. So just do more of that. Do more of that, which I'll give it a go. You know, I will give it a go in terms of see what it is and how they make it work. But I think they could just do so much more, particularly with the World War II setting in their own way, and just do something different. But I'm willing to give it a go. But I just wish people would stop trying to copy Fortnite and PUBG and everything. I just wish they'd just do their own thing.
Yeah. So we're probably not going to have a chance to talk about it much today, but there was a PC gaming conference also. And if you want to see something funny, just watch that, because it was 2 hours long, and there must have been about 7 or 8 different battle royales on there, including one that's 1,000 players. Now that I want to see for sure.
1,000.
1,000 players,
players.
On a single map. How is that going to work? It's just insane.
How big must that map be?
Yeah, exactly. It must be huge. But you're right. I mean, there were literally 7 or 8 on there, so it is just that flavour of the month, isn't it, currently? And to be fair, it's a pretty good game mode. But you're right. I mean, once you play 2 or 3 of them, you're kind of done with it, I think.
But the great thing about Battlefield 5 is that you've still got a single player campaign. You've still got the Battlefield tried and tested, the capture the areas mode, which I really love, because for me, when I'm playing that game, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not so much about kind of killing everyone. I'm more about support and helping kind of capture those flags. That's kind of my objective in those games. I let other people jump around and do the shooting, but for me, I'm just I'm going to go to point A and go with the crowd and try and take that capture point rather than kind of take someone out.
Yeah, the thing that I liked about the look of this one as well, in terms of multiplayer, is they seem to have brought back the destruction levels from Bad Company 2, which I know they've sort of strayed a little bit away from. I know we were chatting about this in WhatsApp, and I know 4 there was quite a lot of it in there, but it still wasn't quite as much as this, I think. But yeah, that trailer looked fantastic, with the tanks smashing through the houses and knocking off little bits of buildings and stuff, and that really made me sort of want to buy it, to be honest, and get back into it, because that's the stuff that I miss.
Yes. I mean, that makes Battle Royale quite interesting, because you can't hide in a farmhouse, because if you got a tank, you can just take that farmhouse straight out, and that's quite cool. But yeah, no, I hope that the other modes are just as fulfilled as and fully formed as that Battle Royale, just so Steve's happy.
Well, I'm like the same as you, though. I like playing Battlefield because you can. It's not like Call of Duty where you have to run around and be focused on getting kills. The objective modes is what Battlefield's more about. So you can enjoy the game by holding strong points, reviving people. Doing it. Giving people ammo, that sort of thing. And that's it's a team-based game. Without those people, that game would fall apart. Because people do treat those modes as just team deathmatch, whereas they're not. So I'm the same as you. I'll either be a be the guy running around either reviving people or dishing ammo boxes out. So, I hope that I imagine it will be, because that's what Battlefield's about. But I imagine that will be a key focus of theirs, as well as this Battle Royale mode as well. So, fingers crossed. I'll get it because I love the World War II setting. I'm glad that it's back. So, either way, I'll be getting on board with it. So I'll get it. I'll see what it does, and you never know. I might be a Battle Royale convert at the end of it.
Yeah, I haven't got it in my notes, but did they announce the player count for the Battle Royale mode?
No, I can only assume it's going to be 100. Those same as the rest of them. I sort of feel like with Battlefield, it's like the one game that's sort of earned the right to try it as well, because obviously they've had the highest player counts of all the different sort of shooters for years now. So I feel, they got up to 64 on the PC, so it's not a massive leap to go up from there, to be honest.
No. And then next up, after kind of Battlefield, was FIFA 19. I think FIFA 19. But did they also announce a World Cup FIFA as well?
It was going to be an update for FIFA 18, wasn't it? So that's going to come out as an update, because I don't think they've done it for a while now, but they used to release the standalone versions, didn't they, the World Cup versions, but that's coming out as an update for FIFA 18, so there's no reason to buy a standalone version anymore.
Yeah, it's quite a nice thing for them to do that, actually, because they used to make an absolute ton of money off that, but it's a free update for the game you've got, so fair play.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And then Andrew and I went into the audience and sat next to one Vince Zampella, who was and there was a very kind of very coy. I think Vince had actually kind of tweeted the day before to say that he had something. I think he was saying that Andrew and I is forcing him, in quotes, to announce what they're working on, and that was that Respawn are working on a Star Wars game. So it was Respawn Star Wars was announced. We didn't get any trailer, we didn't get any teaser or anything, but they did say that it would be out in 2019 in time for episode 9, which was actually one of my predictions last week, so I was quite happy. I was like, yes, high-fiving
not
myself
that you're smug
on
or anything,
Saturday.
yeah.
No, not that I'm smug. No, I think James got one kind of on the day after the pod or something when I went live. So I think he's already in front of me. But they did announce that the game is called Jedi Fallen Order, and it will take place between episodes 3 and 4. So in the dark times they called it. So I quite like that. So it's kind of after, I guess, they did the Order 60. Is it Order 66? Yeah. When they kind of wiped out all of the Jedis. So it must be kind of somewhere around there. Your rogue Jedi still alive.
Yeah, I'm very happy that they're sort of doing that. But to be honest, I was more happy to find out that they've got 2 teams, because I can only presume the other team is then going to be working on Titanfall 3. Because if they were doing just the Star Wars stuff, I think that would have been a little bit of a waste of that studio. Did you guys play Titanfall 2 at all?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
That's the thing. I dabbled a little bit.
such a good game. It's on EA Access at the moment, because I played it on PlayStation 4, because at that point it was the shiniest, was over on PlayStation 4 Pro. But then I downloaded it on EA Access. Excuse me, I've downloaded it on EA Access to play it again on the Xbox One X, to see kind of 4K HDR. But there's that one level where you kind of have time manipulation, and I just love that. That's one of my favourite levels of kind of recent years of any game.
Same as well. That level, and there was the other one as well where you're in the sort of factory. You remember they're building houses around you, and it's sort of rotating on the side.
Yes,
like those two are some of the best FPS levels I've ever played, I think. So I think as long as they get to carry on doing that and do the Star Wars stuff, then great.
Yes, and it just looks so good. It just looks. I think I was listening to a podcast before E3, and they were saying, "What about if they announced a Titanfall Battle Royale?" And I was like, "Oh my god, that would be amazing!" Every now and then a mech drops, and you have to run for the mech, and then just wipe everyone out. But it was,
I think that's one game that would work with it, though.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think so. What about an Overcooked Battle Royale?
That would be so cool. 100 chefs go in.
Absolutely, yeah.
One comes out.
Yeah, as soon as you mess up a meal, that's it. You're out.
You're out. You're done. Or Nicola just throws you out. It's like Gordon Ramsay. And then after that, so that dropped, I went kind of quite excited. I'm quite excited about any kind of Star Wars. I think I was saying last week that I did enjoy the single player on the Battlefront 2, so any kind of other... This will be a single player Fallen Jedi, and that's all we've got at the moment. After that was Unravel 2, and the kind of endearing guy from Unravel kind of came out again and said that he's been kind of making another Yarny game, and this time you get kind of another Yarny. There's a red Yarny and a blue Yarny. This can be played as couch co-op, or it could also be played alone with you combining the two Yarnies together. So you can actually just combine the two Yarnies and then work off them. And a lot of the mechanics were about kind of switching between the character, like pulling a lever and then switching to the other one and then running up a trunk or something like that. And this was great, because this was one of those great E3 announcements where they said that Unravel 2 will be available today, and it was available on Xbox Live and PlayStation 4 and PC straight after the conference.
Are you tempted to pick that up? Did you play the first one at all?
I've downloaded, because there's a 10 in true EA fashion. There's a 10-hour trial of Unravel 2. So I played the first level straight after the conference. So I kind of like downloaded that. Oh, actually no, not straight after. I played it on the Sunday morning. So I sat there and just kind of played it, and I was really enjoying it. It's really lovely. It's a really lovely game.
I guess that's got to be one of the trials where they lock you off after the first couple of levels, though. So I doubt that game's that long, to be honest.
Yes. No, exactly. Yeah, I got past the first level, got the achievements for that. So even the trial gives you achievements as well. And it took me into the second one, but I bet you're right. You know, even though I'm not 10 hours in, I get to the end of the second level, and that will be it.
Indeed.
It's just a pure taster. And then after that, we had Sea of Solitude.
Yeah, I thought this looks superb, to be honest. It's one of those games that's got just a really distinctive art style to it. So it's like a sort of third-person platformer-ish, I would say. The theme is sort of mental illness, isn't it? So you sort of you're trying to help this girl sort of battle her inner demons and so on and so forth, to bring her around this really colourful world. Did either of you guys play a game called what was it called? I think it was called Papo EO about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yes, the monster. Was that the one with the big...
That's right.
One? Yes.
It's very similar to that, I thought, in terms of art style and theme as well. But that was a great game, so yeah, anything like that, I am absolutely down to play. Yeah,
and that was quite good. So I guess Unravel 2 and Sea of Solitude, they're the two EA indie titles of for this year. You know, so did they give a release date for Sea of Solitude?
I think it was later this year. I can't remember when, but no, it wasn't soon.
Yes,
due early 2019.
Right. Okay,
that Sea of Solitude.
Yeah, that seemed to be a running theme, didn't it?
Yeah.
Of EA of E3 was like early 2019.
Yeah. Everything's coming out in February 2019.
February is packed. I think February the 22nd is going to be the new October 26th. You know, like last year where we had lots of stuff that came out. We had Zelda and Horizon and all that. Yeah, there was all that sort of stuff. I think it's going to be the same again this year, but February the 22nd. And then up next, EA took it to the highest of the high hype factor, and they went mobile. They kind of brought out just as they were doing good. I was there. Yep, this is good. They brought out a couple of shoutcasters, a couple of people on from Twitch who are kind of real-time strategy people from Twitch, and they played a game, an unknown game at that point, and they were just showing how you kind of had to steal each other's bases, launch missiles by kind of being around the missiles, on the tiles around the missiles, and then after 10 excruciating minutes, they announced that this is a new Command & Conquer game, and it's a Command & Conquer game for iOS and Android.
Yeah, I have signed up for it because I love me a bit of Command & Conquer. Although, to be honest, as soon as they said it was mobile, I sort of switched off at that point. But I have to try it, man. Like, our sort of group of friends that play games, we got hooked on Command & Conquer Generals back in the day. So sort of anything Command & Conquer, we just have to jump back in and try now. They've been crap ever since, but, I'm just living in hope that one of them will sort of catch on like that at some point. It's not going to be this one because, it's a phone game, but there we go.
But the Command & Conquer Red Alert, I really liked playing like Red. I remember playing it on the 360.
Yeah.
I played a lot of them on the 360. They were really good. They were really kind of... when everyone says that real-time strategy games can't exist on a console, I'm there playing, Halo Wars and Command & Conquer and the other one with mechs. It was just like... It was really good. It was a good time. Yeah. Good time. And then I think one thing that I've kind of missed was that they also had an update on Star Wars Battlefront saying that Star Wars Battlefront was going to have some Clone Wars stuff.
And then there were tumbleweeds.
Yeah, so they finished it off strongly.
Here's
a mobile game, and here's some Clone Wars. And we shall leave.
I was excited. They had Lando Calrissian. I'll keep talking. Lando Calrissian in his skiff outfit from Return of the Jedi, which was awesome. They had General Grievous as well, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, but they didn't show any pictures of Obi-Wan Kenobi, so we don't know if it's going to be Alec Guinness or if it's going to be Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan Kenobi. I should think it will probably be Ewan McGregor, but they also had some Clone Wars stuff as well that's heading to Battlefront 2. And then kind of during that show, they also announced Origins Access Premiere as well.
Yeah, this is like a streaming service, isn't it? That they're sort of dabbling with. Is that right? Is it coming to consoles or is it just PC only? I must have nipped out and got a drink at that point because I sort of came back and caught the tail end of it.
It's just PC. So just EA PC. Origins is kind of the EA access of the kind of Xbox One to PC, and it is just PC. Yep. So I think it's very similar to EA access, but you just get every game kind of day and date. So it's almost like EA's version of Game Pass, really. But it's just all the games.
But it's video streaming, isn't it? So it's more like sort of PlayStation Now.
Right.
Is that right? I think anyway. I need to
fact check. Steve, fact check.
I'm looking and I can't say anything about it streaming. I can say a bit about the cost. I think it is just that you do get the full game.
Oh, great.
There's no suggestion about it being streamed.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Okay.
From what I'm reading,
I must
anyway.
have totally misread that then. Brilliant. That's better then. So I was going to say we don't need a fourth or fifth streaming service to be honest.
No, exactly. Well, Microsoft did announce one though, didn't they? That they're looking into that kind of playing on any device.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just says in Eurogamer articles that EA has announced Origin Access Premier, new PC subscription service, which will get you access to the new games as they arrive. So think of it as Game Pass. So yeah, so it's $89.99 if you're in the UK, $100 if you're in the US. So that's not bad. That's not bad with the amount of games that EA are kind of putting out. All you have to do is be interested in some of those games, and it's a good purchase.
Yeah, if they brought that to Xbox, I would probably think about doing it, to be honest, because there's probably at least 2 or 3 games that I would play from their catalogue every year, so it would probably worth it at that
absolutely point. Because EA Access is great, but you have to wait a while, don't you? So you have to wait a good 6 months before Battlefield 5 goes into EA Access, but it was quite cool. So overall, I think that's it kind of for EA. What's the Manny rating? So each conference, Manny has been scoring conferences. So what's the Manny rating for this conference?
I think if I've done it, you guys should do a gut score as well. So my score that I gave that on my notes was just a 6,
right?
Solid 6.
Right.
It was okay. It wasn't great. I thought it was solid, but as Steve said, it's pretty much all stuff that you knew was going to be there. The one thing I did like was that they mentioned that they weren't doing loot boxes at least 3 times in that conference, which I thought was fantastic.
They had to get that in
Kept
there.
on coming back.
People heard it.
Yeah. like 3 times.
Well, you can download these for free. That's what they kept saying, wasn't it? It was like, well, you can download these for free. It's cosmetic. It's not going to break the game. So, yeah.
Yep.
No, I think I'll go with the Manny rating. I think about a good 6 point. I'll give it 6.5 just for general grievous. So what about you, Steve?
I'll play devil's advocate. I'll give it 5.5.
Low bar.
It was almost a 6, but yeah, there's just nothing in there that we weren't expecting. So
yeah, for sure.
It takes a lot to impress me.
Yes. And hopefully the next one did, because on Sunday at 9 p.m. For the UK guys, it was about 3 o'clock, I think, 3 or 4 for US, we had Microsoft. Steve, do you want to kind of kick off the Microsoft rundown?
Yeah, so I'll go in over what we've got here. So they touched upon the new Halo coming out, albeit we didn't get much information beyond. It's called Halo Infinite. Read into that title what you will.
Battle Royale.
But we at least saw... yeah. Honestly, they can't. Surely they can't. But yeah, we got a brief glimpse of Master Chief again. So what that will be, yet to see. There's a new Ori game in the works, Ori and the Will of the Wisps. So that was quite well received, I think, because I've not played Ori and the Blind Forest, but I know that was quite critically acclaimed. I think you've spoken about it quite a lot, I think, haven't you, Antony, on the pod?
Yeah, absolutely. I love Ori and the Blind Forest is amazing. It's hard as nails. My problem is I think there's 2 games that I absolutely love the art style of, which is Cuphead and Ori. But both of those are just so hard. They're just so. Those games are. I actually got my nephew once to get me past a level in Ori and the Blind Forest. I had to get Ed to get me past a level because it was just so difficult to do. So it was, but no, it's absolutely superb. I love that game.
Yeah. So, and touching on that later down the line, we did get some Cuphead news as well, but we'll come back to that. But there's quite a long list, so you'll have to bear with. So, From Software and Activision brought a new samurai game, or announced a new samurai game called Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, which I thought looked pretty cool. Actually, that looked quite interesting. That sort of a third person sort of Japanesey hack and slash title, which I looked quite interesting, something a bit new.
Yeah, it looked like it played very much like a sort of Dark Souls as well, which is pretty cool. I think looked like it's going to be rock hard.
Because that was from Software, wasn't it? From Software and Activision.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
Yeah, so if it's anything like Dark Souls or anything, then it will probably make me cry. It's too difficult for me. I'll end up throwing a controller through the wall or something. But then moving on to with Bethesda's offering of Fallout 76, we've got a more in depth for that came a little bit later with the Bethesda conference, but we got a more detailed glimpse of what Fallout 76 will look like, what it'll be, which I'm excited for Fallout. I could play any Fallout game till the cows come home. So online, offline, I'm happy with that. I don't know what you guys think about it being online, but I'm happy with playing it with other people or playing it on my own. Either way, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be brilliant. If you look at the size of that map as well, it's ridiculous. It's something like 4 times the size of Fallout 4 or something. It's vast, and some of the things that I saw later on in the Bethesda conference made me really, really want to sort of play it, because they've got things like active nukes on the map, so a bunch of you can sort of band together, launch a nuke, and just knock out other players. It looks like there's tons and tons of thought been sort of put into it, so you can build your houses, you can build your settlements and the rest of it. And I think if you're in that map with 24 players and you're not sure if people are friendly or whether you can trust them or not, there's a whole bunch of different sort of setups that are gonna happen in that style of game. So yeah, I'm fully up for trying this. I think.
Yeah, I think the setting is as well is that with it being Fallout 76, you're one of the first few people to step out of the vault. I think that gives it a lot more scope than, say, starting it at the same sort of time scale as Fallout 4 or Fallout 3, You are some of the first people out there, so civilization is non-existent, there's nobody out there, so, like you say, to go out and build towns or cities or whatever it may be, to build them from the ground up, and if it's sort of dynamic in terms, obviously, you can go take other people's towns or destroy people's towns, that'd be quite interesting, really, so yeah, I'm happy with that. People have said that if it's online, they're not interested, but I think Fallout was always going to lean a little bit online-y. Given that Elder Scrolls, dabbles with online modes as well, I think Fallout inevitably, eventually, was going to go that way.
Yeah.
You know, with the technology that we've got now with the X and the PS4 Pro, you know, it can do that now as well. So, but yeah, a map 4 times the size of Fallout 4. How can you get excited?
And there was that shot of, like, at the end of the trailer. I thought the trailer was a really good trailer. There was a shot at the end of the trailer where it had about 4 or 5 people in different coloured power armour, just kind of like standing on the top of that verge. And I just thought, that's just so awesome. If you could just band 5 people together, and then you're going to go and, like you say, go and set off a nuke or go and take a town or something like that, it would just be so much fun. I really like it.
In their own sort of conference, they did sort of come out and they were at pains to say that you didn't have to play it with other people as well. You can play it as a single player RPG should you want to. So it sounds like there's going to be enough story content in there as well for people that don't want that sort of multiplayer chaos.
So moving on from that, we got some more gameplay footage and some more footage of Metro Exodus, which is launching on the 22nd of February next year. So again, the
magical day
to launch everything. The magical day, which I think is looking really nice. That is looking like a really, really good game. I played the first Metro. I didn't play the second one, but I love that setting. I've read the book for the first one, and I love that setting. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do to kind of expand on that universe and that world with Exodus. But it's going to look stunning on the X. From what we've seen already, if any of that is actually end gameplay footage, what we get next year, that will look stunning on the Xbox.
So I was listening to the Giant Bomb podcast yesterday, and I think Jeff Gersman's has been out there and played it, and he said it does look like that. Basically, it looks, as you saw in that trailer. That's kind of what the gameplay footage is. The one thing they did say was that apparently the sort of shooting mechanics are a bit off currently. That they feel really swimmy and a bit sort of latent. So as long as they can fix that, great. But if they don't, that could spoil it a little bit.
Yeah, are they also reported it's running 60 frames a second? I think I read today as well. So it's just going to look ultra smooth as well.
Yeah, but like you say, if the shooting mechanics not nailed on, it kind of will ruin the full thing really. Because in a game where you're intended to survive, if you can't do that, then that's kind of the big thing really.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's probably one of my sort of most exciting games of the conference for next year, the start of next year anyway. Next we were on to Nier Automata, which is on Xbox One later in June, which I've never played a Nier game, but I know there's kind of a little cult following for it, so I'm sure there was some sort of happy people there that's coming out. And then we saw some.
Play it. It's really good. It's great. I played it on PS4. It is fantastic. It's such a weird game to sort of wrap your head around because you have to play it more than once, and each time you play it, the story branches and changes and stuff. And I can't really say why because that spoils the setup of it. But if you've been tempted by it at all, you should definitely try it.
And by the looks of it, it includes everything that it came out with on PS4 as well. So you are getting the full version. So that's good that you are getting everything that came out as well. And then we got some more Crackdown 3. Crackdown 3 news, which just before E3, I think it was just before E3 happened, but it was announced that it was pushed back to 2019, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we kind of got a bit of a pre-E3 disappointment, really, that it's been moved. Some people think it had been cancelled, which I don't think Microsoft could afford to cancel Crackdown 3. It's been happening for so long. One of the main games that was supposed to sell the Xbox One X as well. I don't think they could afford to cancel it, but we got a new video of it with Terry Crews in there. Everyone loves a bit of Terry Crews to sell Crackdown 3. But yeah, it's I think it was a bit tongue-in-cheek, wasn't it, really, saying that, how far it's come since 2017 and improvements of the cell shading and how Terry Crews looked better and blowing the world up and this, that and the other. So it was a bit of a tongue-in-cheek approach, I thought, but I just worry about Crackdown 3 that by the time, if it comes out in February, we might have kind of lost quite a bit of steam and excitement for it. Because it was supposed to be this year, now it's next year, and it's kind of like, is it going to be next year now? So, obviously, with it being on Game Pass, it'll be free, and obviously, pretty much everyone will play it who's got Game Pass, but whether or not the hype and the anticipation over there when it comes out, and if it lives up to that, that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I was quite happy just to see it running, to be honest. I thought it looked really good. because last time I saw it didn't. They weren't showing much gameplay, and it looked a bit framey and a bit off, but it looked really good. I thought.
It looked much better than last year, and with the added kind of Terry Crews likeness as well on kind of the main protagonist that they were showing. I think it kind of really did kind of just the year that they've delayed it by, I think, is really kind of improving that game. And I think once you kind of collect your first orb or hear your first orb ping, I think that's when the excitement's going to come back. And I think you're right, Steve. I think it's good to be worried about it, but I think the moment, if it's a good game and the moment people start jumping in, I think then it's going to just kind of like the first one. I think a lot of people bought the first Crackdown because it came with a Halo demo. So it was but then word of mouth came around and was like, actually, this is a really good game and it's fun, and I think if they kind of just captured that element, which from that trailer it looked like they did, I'm quite excited. It was really funny because Nicola was kind of watching it with me. She was just playing Switch, and then suddenly she heard the orb and that was it. She was like, "Oh, Crackdown!" That was it. It was just so it's a universal sound of happiness.
Yeah, well, maybe if it does launch in February next year, they'll peddle it with a Halo Infinite, early access or beta or something. Maybe they'll do that, sweeten everybody up a little bit.
Oh, I think that game is a long way off. I would guess.
Oh, yeah.
Halo. If they just show it, just going from that trailer anyway. That trailer looks stunning, absolutely stunning.
Yes.
But there was nothing in there at all, was there really? Apart from the brief glimpse of the chief and a few soldiers, but there was nothing else to make you think that was an actual
and some
game.
rhino thing.
No.
There was some rhino animal. Yeah.
Yeah, and the herd of rhinos, which looked great, and a big bit of tree bark, which looked even better.
Absolutely. I thought it was kind of like a live action Viva Pinata. I was like, here we go. I'm getting it.
But I think that's a next box game. I think
Yes,
the next
for
Halo.
sure.
But moving on to the next bit was Sea of Thieves. So touched a bit about on the intro, but the Hunger in Deep is out now. That's just come out with a Megalodon. But obviously their pledge was to release 6 major free pieces of content this year, with that being the first. And then the Cursed Sails and Forsaken Shores are due up next. With the Forsaken Shores adding new location. That's one that expands it a little bit and brings a new location. So that's described as a place of darkness where fish and ash consume all. What that will be, it'll be interesting to see. But like you say, that excitement or that bit of interesting bit where you can go in and it changes every so often, so you can do something new all the time. Keeps it a little bit fresh, keeps it a little bit different. So that was good to see. I think we kind of already knew it was coming, but it's good to know or to see that it was coming in earnest, and they are keen to focus on that, to make sure it is coming out quite promptly. I think people were getting a little bit itchy about the Hunger in Deep, because obviously they've been out for a couple of months and nothing new would come out. But the Cursed Sails is due out in July, so next month, and then the Forsaken Shores is due out in September. So between July and September there is a little bit of a gap, but I think there'll be enough there if you've got these other two to keep you going. I think it's just that sort of game that you can come back to. I don't think it needs to launch something new every month. I think I alluded to this last time I was on, that you can just play it, for a few nights a week, just jump in, sail around, not really do that much, get a couple of chests, complete a couple of voyages and that's it. But it's just a nice game to dip in and out of. So I'm happy that is coming. But we'll see what it actually is more in depth at a later date. I'm
Absolutely.
sure.
I caught an interview with Mike Chapman on Inside Xbox. So the Xbox are running kind of a daily thing, and they had quite an in-depth interview, and he was saying that the Forsaken Shores, which looks amazing, kind of brings that volcanic island. It's also going to introduce a rowboat. So it's going to, because the island, the volcano could erupt at any point, and it could damage your ship. So you could be off kind of solving a puzzle, getting some loot, doing whatever you're doing, and your ship could be being destroyed by volcanic lava or lava rocks or whatever it is. So you can moor your ship kind of out to sea, or your galleon out to sea, and use the rowboat to kind of go onto the Forsaken Shores. But it's also great and then that will then introduce the rowboat rowboat into Sea of Thieves. So if you're a one-man crew, you can go and do you can load up your ship with your sloop with chests, and then you can put them into your rowboat and then row that to the island when you're cashing them in. So what they're doing is every single one of these content drops, like the Cursed Sails or the Forsaken Shores, they're offering new mechanics, but instead of just dropping it in, it's kind of, I think the way that Mike Chapman said on the Inside Xbox, he said they're celebrating the new content. So instead of just going, oh, here's a rowboat, it's like, no, here's something that's integral to this added feature. And the interesting thing was they were saying that obviously we've got Cursed Sails, and we've got and Cursed Sails has I think they have enchanted cannonballs as well that you fire onto a ship and then suddenly everyone's dancing, or it makes your ship heavy and your ship will then start sinking, so you have to keep bailing it out. Clever. So there's some real buggery things that are coming to Sea of Thieves. Yeah. And then so again, there's kind of some new stuff there, and between Cursed Sails and Forsaken Shores, they're also going to have weekly updates as well. So there's some really good stuff that's coming, and the team that did the Hungering Deep are now working on something that's going to come out after Forsaken Shores. So they're just rotating those teams around, and I just think this is how you do it. This is, Destiny, Division, all those guys. This is how you do it. This is how you keep your player base coming back again and again.
It's a very, very clever way of doing it. The only thing I would worry about, and I think Sheep sort of talks about it last week, is that as long as, if I don't play this game for 2 months, as long as I can come back in and have access to those features somehow.
Yes.
Well, they sort of clearly signpost the things that I need to get. Because what you don't want is for someone to not play it for 6 months and then, suddenly they haven't got half the toys that everybody else has got. So as long as they can do that somehow as well, then this is a great way of doing it, I think. Like you say, it just keeps it fresh every week, every month. There's something there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just so excited for these. They're just really good content. So what was up next after the Sea of Thieves?
After Sea of Thieves was Kingdom Hearts 3, which is something that I've been excited about for a very, very long time. We've known it's a thing for a very long time. But yet we're still going to have to wait a very long time because it's out in February next year. Another one. So I was kind of hoping that would be the end of this year. The more it's gone on, the more recently we've seen more and more gameplay footage and heard more about it in terms of the worlds that they'll have, the sort of Toy Story world, that sort of thing, and then we saw that footage earlier showing the last year for it as well. So I was hoping that would be this year, but I'm happy to wait for February next year. But I can't deal with Sora's new voice. For anyone who's played the first two will know that Sora's voice has suddenly changed and got deeper. So I don't know if they changed voice actor or I don't know what it is, but it's just not Sora. It's just not Sora. But I was happy with the footage that I saw. We saw a lot of Disney's Frozen in there, a lot of Frozen, which I don't mind. I'll admit that I have seen Frozen probably more times than I should probably admit to, but I'm happy with that. The Kingdom Hearts worlds have always had worlds in there that are popular, not so popular, and a little bit bonkers. So it'll be interesting to see, how it works. Which characters you can take control of. And the new power-ups that they've got as well. The new special moves, the attacks, and the combat. So, albeit we'll have to wait till next year. So be it. Sorry, correction. It's January that it comes out. Next year, not February.
January next year, so that's 1 month before the
So it's 1 month before,
games,
yeah. So that's when it starts. They open the floodgates with Kingdom Hearts. But I'm excited by it. I know it's not one that many people will be, but to me, I played Kingdom Hearts as when I was younger on the PS2, and I loved it, and I still love it to this day. I've still got my copies on my PS2 and here, and I play that, and I love them. They're great games. I think you can easily see 50, 60, 70 hours into them. So I'm guessing it didn't get either of you two going.
Do you know what? I'm half tempted by it. I've never played any of those games, but this one, it just looks like it's had so much money thrown at it. Because that footage looked absolutely stunning, to be honest, and all those different licenses coming in. I might try it. Yeah, I've been put off by them before because they've been a little bit too cartoony, a little bit too sort of childish looking for me, I think. But this one, I think the style looks slightly more grown up. Not obviously not completely grown up, but it looks different enough for me to want to jump in and try it. I think.
Absolutely. I'm the same as you, Manny. I think there was something about this here. It's got Pixar as well. It's got kind of Toy Story, Monsters Inc. Those kind of movies. I was like, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind playing this. I wouldn't mind. It's kind of there as I wouldn't mind boomeranging this, and kind of like, and then playing it until I kind of have enough. But it was really interesting because when they announced that, and the trailer was fantastic, and I really kind of enjoyed the trailer. I thought they was then going to say, right, the 1 and 2 and the HD remasters or remix or whatever they were called are now available, and they will be available on Xbox because it's coming. This is the first time it's come to the Xbox. It's always been PlayStation. So I was expecting that. You actually saw that over on the PlayStation conference, which we'll get to a bit later, that they actually announced them as one package, but they're not kind of bringing those out on Xbox, so which was quite interesting.
Yeah, which is a little bit disappointing as well because, like you say, we've had the HD remasters on the PS3 and then in the PS4. It would be nice to get them on the Xbox as well, because there will be a lot of people who inevitably who just played Xbox all the time, what have ever played the previous ones. On Kingdom Hearts is a game which you need to know what's going on. You can probably enjoy that game as a standalone, but it will follow on from 1 and 2 and all the various little spin-offs it's had across the DS, the Game Boy, the mobile, that sort of thing. So there will be probably a lot of references in there that people won't understand, so it would have been nice if we'd have got all those packages together, because surely even if they didn't give them a 4K, bump, even if you just got the HD versions, you'd be able to put them on one disc, or as much of them on one disc, or just the first, 1 and 2, forget the side, the spin-offs, just put 1 and 2 on one disc and, 20 quid, there you go, job's good one, done. Yeah. That'd be nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that would be perfect. I was expecting that. I was like, because it is worth a punt if that trailer kind of excited you, and like you say, you've always been over in Xbox or other places. You haven't played on PlayStation. Then it's always the first time for someone. So I thought they would kind of fill in the backstory, but maybe the game does something at the start that kind of fills in that backstory for you. Previously on Kingdom Hearts, and then there's 4 hours of building the set, the scene.
Yeah, cutscenes.
So I've heard things about the Kingdom Hearts storyline that in terms of it's meant to be absolutely bonkers. Is that right, Steve? It's meant to just be just lore everywhere,
Yeah. I mean, I haven't played all the spin-offs. I've played some of them, but I mainly just follow 1 and 2. And even then, if you just follow 1 and 2, there's so much going on. The different worlds, the Heartless, how they came about, and the Disney involvement. It's mad enough that you've got Disney and Final Fantasy and Pixar. Trying to tie that all together in itself, is hard enough. But then, like I say, you've got all the backstory, with King Mickey going missing, and then the Heartless and Ansem, and all the Disney villains and whatnot. There's enough going on as it is. There's enough going on.
Sounds like you could do like a TV series or something just to set you up.
Oh yeah. They did like a Netflix series,
Yeah.
That'd be an anime version, which that'd be quite good actually.
Okay.
Pitch it.
Yeah, they probably have done it somewhere in Japan, but probably not over in this country. But yeah, there's enough in Kingdom Hearts to keep you going.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Moving on after that was the announcement that Microsoft was pretty much buying everybody. We can win fans by buying fans, I think there's a philosophy there, but they announced that they were taking ownership of quite a few good studios actually to put under the Microsoft Studios umbrella to make them exclusive. So they have bought Playground Games, who are behind the Forza Horizon series, so they're retaining exclusive rights to that. Hellblade developer Ninja Theory as well. I think that was quite a significant one. They'll be exclusive to Microsoft now as well. Then there was the State of Decay developer Undead Labs, and We Have a Few developer Compulsion Games.
Wow.
So yeah, I think it was quite a bold move. Really, to say this is what we're doing to try and ensure that Xbox is the best place to game, and I think that was, quite a significant stride to doing that. Albeit, I don't necessarily agree that necessarily buying people is the best way to go about it, but to have those games on the Xbox, which people kind of knock Microsoft for at the moment, that they don't have those exclusive titles, whereas Sony potentially do. That kind of now guarantees that they do have things to pull people in beyond the likes of Forza, Halo, Gears, that sort of thing. So it will offer something different and give those guys a chance to work on something else beyond the games that they've already done.
Yeah, I think this is definitely them ramping up to getting the new Xbox out in 2 years' time, because they must have learned from this one. That they can carry on with the Xbox One, but there's so much negative word of mouth about it. Not with gamers. We're all sort of past that now, but I would think there's so much negative word of mouth in it in terms of the public still, that they have to launch something new, call it something different. And I think they've learned, because that's been the one thing from the start with the Xbox One, is that they just haven't had enough content that's theirs. Not enough games that are just solely on that console. So I think this is them just saying, right, this is where we start. You got 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, get some games ready for that launch.
Yeah, and I think this year's E3 kind of showed that in a little bit, because they did a lot of announcing other people's games. Also, they had a lot of premieres and some exclusive as well, but the big ones were, we'll put a Halo trailer in there, and we'll put a bit of Gears in there. So relying on the big hitters that they do have. But like you say, whenever the next Xbox might launch, if they can say, right, well, we've got 5 games by those 5 studios ready to go, as well as the next Halo, the next Gears, or whatever it may be, that will be a lineup to contest with from Sony and potentially Nintendo. So the other thing that they did mention, they also introduced a new studio called The Initiative, which is headed by the ex-Tomb Raider boss Daryl Gallagher. So that'll be interesting to see what they come up with as well. So albeit not necessarily any games announced by it, but what they can come up with as well. That'll be interesting. And a little thing that does say on the Eurogamer article as well is that on their report when they spoke to Phil Spencer, is that he didn't confirm or deny that Playground Games were working on a new Fable, but he did say they were working on an open world adventure game, which probably will be the next Fable, or the renewed Fable, which hopefully is the case. I think we've discussed this on the podcast before, that the fact that Fable is gone is a massive loss to Microsoft. And I think it's a massive loss to gaming in general, really. Obviously it went a bit downhill, with the Kinect spin-off and, that sort of thing that happened. But Playground Games, I think Fable would be in safe hands. They would be a very safe pair of hands to say, this is Fable, this is new, because they make open world stuff already, and the thing that they do produce looks stunning. So how they'd incorporate that more into a sort of a Fable themed world and a Fable feel world, in terms of that theme and how it looks, that'll be interesting to see. But that tied with the games from those other guys for the next Xbox will be something to look forward to.
It's quite interesting because, like, when Phil was saying about we're kind of buying Playground Games, he did say that on on stage. He goes, and they're also working on an open world game, which we'll talk more about later. And I kept thinking it was later in the conference, so every trailer that started, I was like, here we go, it's Fable, every single trailer. And then when we got to the one at the end, which we'll talk about at the end, I was like, this isn't Fable, and I was just like, but it never came. They obviously kind of maybe got that. Maybe that is also for the next Xbox as well. Maybe Playground Games are kind of queuing that up. You imagine kind of launching a new Xbox in 2020 with Fable, Master Chief, a new Halo, new Fable. It would just be incredible. It'd be an incredible lineup. The one thing I did find interesting about all of this was similar to Minecraft. We Happy Few is still coming out on PlayStation. So the We Happy Few, which is a game that's kind of been in Xbox preview, is changing a lot now. It's getting to more of a game. It was a bit of a kind of a survival sim. It was a bit like Don't Starve when I played it. Played the kind of the Games Pass, or not the Games Pass, the ID and Xbox version. But I noticed that this is still coming to PlayStation. So they're similar to Minecraft. Microsoft realized that they can make even more money by releasing the same game on other platforms. So it's good that they've got Playground Games, because they don't want Forza suddenly being shopped around, or Forza Horizon under a different name being shopped around to its competitor. But it's good to see that they are kind of still sharing some of these games with other platforms. Yeah,
I think they'd be mad if they didn't, to be honest. Like I say, if they've got code there and it's not something that they want to keep as Xbox solely, then yeah, absolutely. Make money off it. It's mad not to.
Absolutely, and that segues nicely into your next point, Steve. Segway.
It does, yeah. Segway. Thomas alert. But we finally got some information about Forza Horizon 4. The speculation will finally finish about where it's going to be based. It's going to be based in the UK, of all places. I thought, as much as I love that it's going to be based in our country, I wasn't expecting that at all. There was a lot of rumour and speculation and fake, box arts and screens that you're going to be in Tokyo or, Canada or America or wherever, but as long as it's not set in the UK, as in there's going to be roadworks and traffic everywhere,
potholes.
I think it'll be absolutely fine. Yeah, the roads.
Driving around Stoke on a rainy Sunday afternoon, it sounds brilliant to me. Sounds great.
Drivers, tractors everywhere. So,
yeah.
But yeah, the stuff that they showed looked beautiful.
Yes.
There's clearly going to be a lot of places across the UK that they are using taking inspiration from. And it's it just looks stunning. And the fact that it's going to be even more online than it was before. I think they said that there's going to be even more people online. Everyone shared the same world. No dry avatars. Everyone that was in there would be actual players. So getting out there, meeting new people, meeting new gamers, new players, new challengers, that sort of thing. So it'll be interesting to see how that works, and how many people that Antony can annoy by crashing into them.
I'm sorry. That's going to be my number plate. I'm sorry. It's just like, it used to be awesome in Forza Horizon 3. And Forza Horizon 4 is just going to be, I'm sorry, because that's what they're going to...
You're just going to get that warthog and just drive it around non-stop again, aren't you, for about 20 hours?
Absolutely. My SpongeBob warthog.
Beeping your horn.
But that's a cool thing.
Yeah.
So in an interview with Dan Greenwald that has since the show, they did say there's going to be 74 people will be in your world. So as you're playing, it reminds me of like Test Drive Unlimited. Do you remember Test Drive Unlimited where you had that Hawaiian island?
Back in the 360 days.
Yeah, there's been rumours that it's a similar sort of thing with this one, isn't it? So you're meant to be able to buy houses and garages and such. I think.
They did show houses actually,
which is halfway to being Test Drive Unlimited 3, isn't it? Basically.
It really is. It's good because you could walk around, couldn't you? And was it Metropolis Street Racer where you had barns, or was that one of the first?
I think they brought in stuff in PGR 2, I think, on the Xbox 360, where you could walk around a garage and you can see a lineup of cars, and then because that's where Geometry Wars came in. Remember, there was a little arcade cabinet in the corner that you walked up to, and then that started Geometry Wars.
That was it. See, what they didn't really show in the trailer, they showed lots of open countryside. They showed your stomping ground, Manny, the Cotswolds. So they're kind of surprised you didn't see. I know the Cotswolds is a vast place, but I'm surprised you didn't see or hear of lots of cars because there was
they
showed a thing where they had, I think recently they had lots of really high performance cars in the Cotswolds. But that's
it is a venue for that. Yeah, as long as you get the Cheltenham's Ring Road in there, I'll be very happy.
God, that would be so cool.
What
they kind of showed, Edinburgh, which was really cool.
Yeah, that looked great,
that looked really cool because you noticed as soon as I saw that statue in Edinburgh, I was like, "This is Edinburgh. How cool is this?" But I'm hoping that, and I guess there will be some London tracks as well. You imagine just having London. It would be like again, it would be like Metropolis Street Racer all over again, won't it? It would just be. Oh, I just can't wait for this game. It looks, as you said, Steve, it looks absolutely stunning. And it's coming, as we discussed earlier, it's coming out on Game Pass, on Xbox Game Pass.
So if you've got Game Pass, there's really no reason not to play it. And thankfully, this is one of the games that's launching this year. This is coming out on October the 2nd. So that's bucking the trend of January, February next year. But I was interested by the blimp idea as well, which basically is the public events like Destiny has and the Division had, that sort of thing, that if there's a blimp in the sky, everyone has to race to it and everyone's suddenly involved in it. And it'll be interesting to see, because it was suggested that sort of people racing and driving together and helping to achieve the objective will, that'll inevitably get the reward for everybody. So hopefully you don't get lumped with a group of Chessons that, just in a SpongeBob warthog doing donuts and crashing into things and just ruining it for everybody. But it'll be interesting to see what they are. If they're just serious point to point, tasks, or is there going to be something a bit, try and ram each other off the road, or something different, something interesting, a bit of fun in there, because obviously like they did with the last one where they had the the Hot Wheels track. Are they going to do something like that again, or is it just going to be a serious online? I know Forza Horizons are less serious approach to the Forza series, but is it going to be a bit more serious in terms of, we had us fun with Forza Horizon 3, but now this is more, more in the traditional vein of races. So that I'll be interested to see how that works. and how different those blimp events actually are.
Yeah, and also I guess one of the big changes that we've got in Forza Horizon 4 is the seasons. So we do have seasons in the UK, and you'll actually be getting that in the game, which is fantastic. So something like a river in the spring or in the winter, which will be kind of you would be able to go near, you would crash into in the summer, gets lower tide, so it now becomes a racetrack. So you can now kind of use that river to now race around, and I just think things like that just sound amazing. And they're going to trigger the seasons for everybody. So when you're in the game, it's suddenly, right, it's autumn now. And then you go into the game and you're playing Forza Horizon 4 in autumn. I think this is amazing.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that in action. That you get a tweet from Playground Games or something like that to say, right, or some notification on the dashboard to say that autumn is triggering in 10 days' time, and then it happens in game.
Yeah, maybe it's as unpredictable as the weather in this country, though. It just
you get a shade of grey or a different shade of grey or a bit of rain that's pretty much it. Yeah. As long as they keep doing things like that with these games, they can bring them out every year, and I'll be absolutely happy because they always bring out enough new features in there to just keep it going with them. This one looks stunning, to be honest, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, similar to your Metro Exodus being kind of one of your highlights, no shocker that Forza Horizon 4 was kind of one of mine. Just seeing what they were doing, because when you saw when you kind of figured that it was the UK, you were like, I'm happy with that. But then when you saw the different dynamics that are happening to the game, incredible.
And onto a sort of another segue, another online world. Antony will be able to don his beanie and his gilet in 4K. Is the Division 2 set in a summertime Washington DC?
Yes.
We've got a bit more information about the Division 2, which is out in March next year. So not quite February, but again in that sort of same window. But I love that video.
Yeah.
What we saw on that Division 2, I loved that. The Division was alright, the first one. I thought it was good, it was okay. But much like Destiny was, that was just sort of like a teaser, a test for future things to come. I think by the looks of Division 2 will nail it. Like Destiny 2 kind of expanded on what Destiny 1 did. I think that was kind of what they were doing with the Division. And I think that really showed in that video, because that looked stunning. That looked really, really good as well. So hopefully we'll get more of what the Division did in terms of, because it was solid in terms of performance, but just wasn't that much to do. I think everyone would say the same, that it kind of got a bit samey and a bit boring. But with this new world and this new environment and, this new sort of, the same setting in a sense, but the new story behind it will be interesting to see what they bring that's new and to keep people coming back. But much like we did with Anthem last year, we had the sort of the fake party chat, didn't we, in terms of the people talking to each other and whatever, because real people don't talk like that. Let's be honest, real people don't talk like that. Because
get out of my way!
Yeah, sorry to be stealing again, Antony, but yeah, he'll grenade himself or he'll grenade somebody else. Sorry.
You just get Matt star jumping in the corner. I'm taking it off of me. Matt star jumping in the corner. It's like, Matt, come over here. But no, I love this, and the fact that they've expanded it as well, haven't they, to 8 players. So your squad is now, where before it was 4 of us, the 3 of us played quite a lot of that, we're kind of, and you're right, there was a point where it just kind of tailed off. We suddenly went from who's up for the Division tonight to kind of, there wasn't it, we just kind of came back for the major events. But the Division 2 will have 8 players, so I really like that. I just think that's a great idea, because before, obviously these games where you're kind of constrained to just 4, if you've got a bigger group like we have, like the Sparks, it's hard to just kind of, a couple of people have to kind of sit by the wayside while the others kind of have fun and stuff. So it's quite nice having a bigger group, or being able to kind of match a couple of groups up. So I quite like this. I'm really looking forward to the Division.
Yeah, I like the look at some of the new weapons as well. You had that little mine that sort of scuttled across the floor through the water and stuff, and then blew up. I know they had the Seeker in the first one, but this one looked like a little jet propelled version of that. There are a few other little bits in there as well, like there seems to be a weapon where you can fire it at someone's feet and sort of freeze them for like 10-20 seconds. That looks ace as well. Yeah, I could just see you getting stuck with that
Yes.
one, Antony, and everybody trying to shoot you out repeatedly.
Or shooting the wrong person.
You're like, just leave
Yeah.
him, just leave him, just leave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Just lock him there.
Sorry, it
Carry
happened
on.
again. Yeah, and there was the guy in the trailer in the big suit that you had to kind of shoot different parts of his armor off. So he had that big suit that they use once in Modern Warfare. I love that suit, and they kind of so he's hankering around in the middle of that area, which was kind of a downed Air Force One, wasn't it, that they were kind of about to go into. So I really like the look of that.
And the end of that trailer as well, where they started getting shot through the windows, and then they said, "Oh, it's time to take by the Capitol." I'd be interested to see if that was just for the show of the trailer, or if things can happen in sort of a dynamic scenario. Like you could be doing something, but then you suddenly get sprung by a group of bandits or a gang or something, and that takes you onto something else, like a sidebar quest, to suddenly say, well, we were doing this, but then we got attacked by these guys, or if that's part of the story, or like I say, it was just a show. But it'll be interesting to see what it builds up to, if that sort of big finale that was alluding to is actually a thing or not.
Yeah. Did they say anything about the Dark Zone multiplayer and stuff from the first one? Did they say about anything about that coming back, or whether that was integrated into this?
No.
Not from what I saw, no.
They'd be crazy not.
I hope it
Yeah,
comes
they'd be
back.
crazy not to add it. Surely, the Dark Zone
Yeah,
becomes Battle Royale.
Yeah.
Well, I love the Dark Zone. But the times that we went into the Dark Zone and we were just, gathering all of that equipment, calling for the helicopter to come in and grab us and stuff. They were just some of the most fun and intense moments as well. It was incredibly intense. And that was just that mad scramble when the helicopter actually did drop to try and attach the stuff. It was just incredible.
Yeah, if they could sort of weave that into the world a little bit more this time, so it's not just maybe like a roped off zone. Maybe it's if they made it part of the map that you had to travel through to get to your single player missions or something. That could be really good. I'm hoping that's where they sort of take it. I think integrate it a bit more.
And then we'll try and fly through these because there's quite a little bit more to go on the Xbox One. But I'm not interested in this. But there was a new snow map coming to PUBG this winter, which I know PUBG's been quite popular on the Xbox since it launched on the PC. So again, probably one of the first instances of Battle Royale mode. I know that still gets quite a following on the Xbox and Twitch and what they like. So yeah, that's good to see that they are still bringing things out to it, albeit that the game's still not technically a finished product. It is still in development, in quotation marks. But yeah, to get new content for it, I think that's quite good that they are supporting it. So for those that are playing PUBG still, I don't know if you guys are still playing it or not, but it'll be interesting to see if that brings more people or rebuilds the excitement around it or not.
Yeah, because you've got the desert map as well. I quite like that trailer. I thought that trailer was quite cool, as they kept there was almost kind of just travelling through the different environments, and then it had the name. I thought it was quite a cool, effective trailer.
Yeah, I need to get back into it actually, because I've stopped playing it after the first couple of weeks because it was it was just running so badly on Xbox One X that I just didn't want to play it. But I've heard they've patched it a lot since, and it's running a lot better. So yeah, it might be a good time to jump back in. I think maybe have a session and try out those new maps, new features, and get shot and die a lot.
Get a chicken dinner.
And come 100th. Yeah.
We came second once, didn't we, Manny? I think we came second. Yeah, we came second as a group. It was quite cool. It was almost there. It was so close.
Yeah.
Almost.
I'll tell you what, one of the first times that I played Fortnite about a month ago, I managed to win. I think it was my second game.
Wow.
And I won it firing a single shot that missed somebody, but because they were outside of the circle at the end of it, I won. It was great.
You won by default.
Yeah, I hid all the way through it, fired a single shot, missed, and won. Brilliant. It's my kind of game.
Just genius.
Yeah.
And moving on to the next bit is we've got a couple of game announcements for the Game Pass. So Fallout 4 is coming to Game Pass, Division's coming to Game Pass, and Elder Scrolls Online is coming to Game Pass. So I think that's quite a fair offering, really. I mean, I don't think there's anybody that hasn't played either of those three games, but still, they're three good games that come out, that are coming to it. So I think I ever so briefly dabbled with Elder Scrolls Online when it first came out. So I might, with it being free, I might get that back, re-download it and try it again, just to fill that kind of Elder Scrolls void that's there at the moment. And then jumping kind of back to what you said earlier, Antony, is that we got an announcement that Cuphead is getting some new content as well next year. So content-wise, we're getting an expansion in the delicious Last Horse, to which brings out a new character, which the Miss Chalice, is that right?
I think so. Yeah, Cuphead's going to be Cuphead's going to be a thruple, and there's like
a thruple. Is that a technical term?
I think it is. Yeah, I don't think I made that up. I think it is. It's like a threesome that's married. That. So yeah, you got like you got Mugman Cuphead, and then was it Miss Chalice? Did you say, Steve?
Yeah, Miss. Well, it's MS, so I don't know if you call it Miss or Ms. Chalice. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, it's new weapons, new bosses. Chef Saltbaker is the new boss. But yeah, new charms and a bunch of new abilities courtesy of Miss Chalice. Apparently she's the granter of abilities. So that's coming out next year. I don't think we got a precise date for it yet. No. But yeah, that's coming next year. But I've not played Cuphead because, like you said, it's too hard for me. It's far too difficult for me. So if it comes on Game Pass or it's on an offer at some point, I'll probably will dabble. So I love that aesthetic. I love how it looks. You know, the art style of it looks fantastic. You know, so was that 4K? That, or has it had a 4K bump at all? That, or is it just as it was when it launched? Or?
I think it is 4K, even though the art style is very kind of old school art style. I think it is like 4K. I think it is enhanced for Xbox One X. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But it just looks stunning. I love that art style. I wish there was a really easy mode in Cuphead because I just really enjoy that game. It's just so good. And also kind of back to kind of Game Pass as well, and like hoping that this does. I mean, if this goes into Xbox Game Pass, so many people will play it. But also coming later this year, they announced that the Master Chief Collection as well is coming into Game Pass, and I thought that was just you know, like as you said, you know, Game Pass is just getting better and better because having that as well, that's a really good game if you want to get into Halo.
Well, yeah, you're getting what 4 or 5 games for in one package for effectively £8 for the month. So you know, even if you bought the month just for that alone, just to play all the Halo games again, then you know. You've got more than your money's worth there, haven't you?
Yeah, indeed.
Albeit there will significant downloads for it, but
just on a side note on that, really weirdly, they've just activated a beta for that as well. So I just signed up for it yesterday, but I have no idea what it's for, or what they're going to be changing, and what they're doing. But if you're interested, there's a beta going for the Master Chief Collection that you've got to sign an NDA for as well. So it sounds like it's something big, but
it's really bizarre.
Maybe that's the Battle Royale.
Maybe, yeah, you could actually be spot on. I mean, that was kind of my prediction for last week, is that they would add that. I kind of jumped off the back of IGN's prediction, but no, absolutely. You know, maybe that would be exactly what they're going to do, because that would make sense in that. I know they're bringing out enhanced HDR 4K, aren't they, for the collection? Yeah. So I doubt if it's going to be that. So you're right, it has to be something quite significant.
Yeah, I was just going to say as soon as I find out, I'll let you know. But I realised I can't because I signed the NDA, so I won't let you know.
You can blink if we say, is it Battle Royale, Manny? You can blink really hard.
I promise I won't confirm or deny.
Yeah.
That always means yes. Or we don't speculate on rumour. That always means yes.
Yep. That's what I'll go with.
Then moving on to Devil May Cry 5.
Yes.
We had a Devil May Cry 5 announcement, which I thought looked quite good, actually. You know, I'm not a massive DMC fan, but I thought it looked quite cool, that trailer. You know, and you can always rely on Capcom to have some sort of crazy, you know, Japanese-infused shooter come RPG, you know, some sort of mash 'em up, you know, so I thought it looked quite cool. You know, I know they kind of, with the Devil May Cry series, I know they kind of went a bit off-piste in terms of Dante changing appearance and, you know, changing voice and all that business, but I can quite get into that. You know, from what I saw, I quite like that trailer. You know, and they focused quite a lot on Devil May Cry 5. You know, they brought the his name slips now, but they brought the main developer out. You know, and the guy that I didn't really like, which I think we all agreed on in the WhatsApp group. I think we all found him a little bit full on.
He was intense, wasn't he? He was just like,
he was really intense. Yeah. It was like,
I would say he may or may not have been coked up. I'm not entirely sure, but. Might have to snip that bit.
I think he loved Devil May Cry 5 from life itself. But
his eyes were very red. But anyway,
But yeah, I mean, it's good to see somebody passionate about the game. But I think they made quite a big deal about Devil May Cry. I think that was kind of their acceptance that maybe 4 lost its way a little bit, and there's been a bit of an absence since. But yeah, I liked what I saw. You know, and I definitely played that. Like I say, Capcom games are usually fairly reliable and fairly good. So I'm happy to give it a whirl, and see what it does. But yeah, crazy stuff on Capcom as normal. Then a Battletoads game was announced after that.
Speaking of crazy stuff,
that was a shocker, wasn't it?
Yeah, speaking of crazy stuff, yeah, which was just kind of a little teaser trailer, wasn't it? A very, very slight tease that it's coming out. A new one's coming out. We didn't get much beyond that. I don't think we had an indication of, time or date and so when it's coming out, but it's a thing. So yeah, like you say, speaking of crazy, I think actually it's due next year, but when next year? Very vague. It's next year announcement. So
that's one of those games that's been rumored for so long. It had to happen at some point. But yeah, it sounds like it was a total shock to even those people that maybe should have known about it, because no one seems to have known about it at all.
Yeah. But yeah, so no gameplay, nothing. Just it's happening. So that'll we'll get some more information at some point later this year at some stage. But something that I wasn't expecting was Just Cause 4. Which I love the Just Cause games. I played Just Cause 3 probably too much. There's just something about that world and that running around and blowing things up and that having that grapple hook to swing round under helicopters and fly around the world. It's just something different. It's just something else that Square offer. So yeah, I wasn't expecting that, but as soon as I saw the trailer kick in, you knew what it was. You knew it was Just Cause instantly. But that I'm so excited to see that, because Just Cause 3 was beautiful. If I remember rightly, playing that game, is that back on the 360 now? Just Cause 3, I think it was, wasn't it? But seeing that world, that South American setting brought to life on the Xbox One X, that has to look superb. That has to look nice. With the explosions, the open world setting, having all the vehicles, just obviously the destruction in there as well. Kind of a bit like Battlefield in terms of you can level buildings and things like that. That with the Xbox One X has to look beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
I like that they just keep going crazier and crazier with that series as well. It's like gone from 1 tether to 2 tethers. Now we've got 3. Now we've got 4. That's it. Just keep ticking it off on that whiteboard every single version.
Yeah.
5 tethers, 6 tethers.
Tie 5 helicopters together and that'll be fine. But and that's out this year. That's out in December. That's the first I've certainly heard about it. In terms of coming out, and I know it still seems a long way away, but going from June to December, considering we've heard nothing about it, that's quite short sort of window in terms of it's coming out in the next 6 months. So they've done well to keep that under wraps, I think, or keep it hush hush anyway. But certainly that's something that I'll be jumping onto, because that'll be something a little bit different, because inevitably around the November, December time we'll have Battlefield, Call of Duty, that sort of thing. So I think Just Cause fits itself nicely in there, that it is another shooter, but something different at the same time. And then going back to something a little bit crazy and a little bit weird, we got Gears 5, but then we got Gears Pop as well.
Never have I been more disappointed in anything in my entire life. When I saw that Gears logo, I was like, yes! And then I saw the bobblehead, I was like, oh my god.
No. What have they done?
Bloody Funko.
Why?
I'm so glad there was two other Gears announcements, because if that's all there was, I would have just rage quit at that point, because I was just when I saw that, when it kind of cut through, I thought they're just announcing that they're doing Gears bobbleheads. That's it. They're just doing Gears Funko. That's okay. But when it was actually a game, and a game on mobile as well, I was just like, holy mother and lord. But it's just like they haven't released any details about it, just that it's coming. No. Is it later this year, or is it next year?
I think so. It was one of those things where they almost look like, we just need to get this out of the way, so that let's just give it 1 minute, get it on stage, and just quick, swift, here's Gears 5, brilliant, woo! But he just looked like he needed to get off that as quickly as possible.
I mean, I'd be interested to see what they actually do with it, to see what it's like. Say it's a mobile game, so obviously it can't be anything too expansive or sort of far-reaching, but it just seems mad, and whether this is the start of, like you say, Funko Pop's taking over the world. I mean, I collect Pops, I collect Pops that I like in terms of from the series that I like, but seeing them go into sort of video games, and whether that not ties into sort of TV series or something, I don't know, but where it's going to go,
I've got this image of somebody just dragging the finger across a mobile screen to like chainsaw a Funko Pop in half or something.
Yeah.
That I would actually
Wow.
play, I think.
Yeah.
That's going to be a dark toilet time when you're playing with that on the mobile.
Yeah.
So that's the only time you play mobile games.
All my toilet times are dark, Antony.
Oh, superb.
Moving swiftly on, then there was Gears Tactics as well,
Yes.
which was a sort of a turn-based strategy XCOM style game, which I think that could work. I think that would be quite interesting, sort of like say XCOM come Halo Wars style sort of thing. I think the Gears universe lends itself to that. So I'll be interested to see how that works out. And I think I'd actually give that a go. Cause I'm not the biggest Gears fan. I'm the first to admit that, but in that sort of setting, I'm like you, Antony. People, the naysayers say that sort of RTS games can't exist on the consoles and that sort of thing. But if that can be, successful outing for that, then I think it'll give Gears something else beyond the shooter sort of camera angle and the pop, because the pop's not going to happen.
Yeah.
We'll just forget the pop ever happened. It gives something different to Gears to be able to go on. So.
And that's
that was quite interesting.
that's being developed by Splash Damage, and Splash Damage are the guys who did Brink. Do you remember Brink? That was like I remember going to a Eurogamer and Brink was all over Eurogamer, and it was the future of and it was such a great demo playing Brink at Eurogamer. Then you kind of got the finished product home and you kind of realised that it wasn't that great, but it was just. But yeah, so it's being developed by them. But I'm not sure. I don't know if either of you guys know that. Is Gears Tactics, is that PC only? Or is it PC console?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think they really said, did they? I missed that, and I'm just quickly reading up on it now in terms of this article. I can't say anything about it just being PC. I'd hope it's not. I'd hope it does come to the Xbox as well in terms of crossplay. If they do that way, if you get it on the Xbox, you get it on the PC and vice versa. That'd be quite
there we go.
nice.
So Gears Tactics will be a Windows 10 exclusive.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's getting its own PC only tactics game. Yeah, so this is going to be PC only.
Yeah, that's a shame because I thought they sort of nailed it with Halo Wars 2. The pad worked really well. Everything works in that scheme. So I'm surprised they're gonna stick with it on PC.
Whether or not that'll change, that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
I'm sure for the PC crowd, it'll be great in terms of it'll work better with the mouse and keyboard, but it'd be nice to have it on the Xbox as well.
Sorry about that, Steve.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
Sorry.
Sorry. But yeah, then we had Dying Light 2, which came afterwards, which I thought was quite cool. I thought it was quite nice, actually. I don't think Dying Light quite got the reception or the exposure that it maybe was due. I think it kind of got lumbered with it's another zombie survival game. Because I think it kind of came out that sort of time, didn't it? With Dead Island and Dead Rising, that sort of thing. But yeah, the sort of, I think I sort of tweeted this at the time, or mentioned it in the WhatsApp group at the time, in terms of they made a big deal about choices will be more significant, which we've heard time and time again, year after year after year, that your choices have consequences, they do matter. But they showed two different scenarios where, depending on what choice you made, the game played differently.
Yes.
But it'll be interesting to see if there's more than just it'll be one or the other, or how permanent those changes will be. What effects they have later down, if actually genuine side effects or consequences, rather than just saying there's just two story arches that kind of overlap each other. But yeah, the sort of the nighttime hook with Dying Light has always been its main feature, that the zombies become more powerful at night time. So it'll be interesting to see what new zombies they can offer, what new mechanics they can offer, because that's kind of tying into Brink, actually. The parkour aspect of Dying Light was one of its USPs as well, wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely. It was really cool just to see that. It was kind of all about kind of water, wasn't it? It was like, do you share the water with your community? You grow your community, everyone's stronger, you can keep zombies out, or do you put it on the black market and then that starts attracting bandits? And it was really interesting to see how the world changed based on that decision. I thought it was quite clever.
Yeah. Like I say, whether those decisions have different consequences beyond the sort of the main story, but like I say, with the water scenario, if you decide to put it on the black market, does that then stem side quests? Can you get water for the sort of the bandits, the bad guys or the good guys? Can that lead to things later down the line? Can you get that back, that sort of thing. So I know it's hard in a game to get those sort of those consequences in, and have the multiple sort of channels and archers, but it'll be interesting to see how expansive they actually are. But yeah, and then probably my most exciting announcement of the whole E3 actually, certainly of the Microsoft conference, was Cyberpunk 2077, which just, I think, shocked everybody and blew everyone away. That because I think it was kind of that little, we touched on it a couple of weeks ago, that then there's one more thing that kind of ended the conference there, didn't it? That it was rounding it off, and then it interrupted like the hacker sort of thing. That came in, and then that just came out of nowhere, which I thought that was quite good actually. I thought that worked quite well. I think these things kind of look a bit sort of disjointed, but I thought that was kind of a bit of a seamless transaction there. But it worked.
Yes,
I was convinced it was Watch Dogs 3 before I started talking about it.
Yeah. I mean, and you would think that from that from what Watch Dogs has done in the past, but I love the look of Cyberpunk 2077. I thought that looked brilliant. Obviously we've not seen much about it more. It's just sort of cinematics, but it's CD Projekt Red. It has to be good.
I'm not sure it's coming out on this generation of consoles though, because it looks that good that I can't see it. I can't see that being an Xbox One X game even, because it just looks a step further on than that, I would say.
There's a couple of games throughout the entire conferences that you just looked at them and just thought, this is next generation. This is next gen stuff. There's one we'll get to a bit later, and I was just like, no, this is next gen. This isn't this generation. But no, that was really cool. So was that the whole? I guess that finished the Xbox conference.
Yeah, that rounded it off nicely. And there was some sort of brief mention about the development team were working on the next Xbox, which was inevitable because they'll always be working on it. There's always going to be somebody somewhere working on it, so it won't come as any shock to anybody that they're actually working on it. There was mention more about, obviously, Game Pass, bringing more out to Game Pass, and then interestingly about playing Xbox games on your mobile device as well, which I thought was quite interesting. That obviously you can do the, you can play the games remotely on the Surface tablet. So whether or not that's going to come to sort of iPad and Android, that sort of iOS, whether that happens or not, that'll be quite cool. But they're clearly focusing on the future. They've got their eyes on the future in terms of what they need to do next.
It's one of those things that they could probably do relatively, not easily, because obviously these things are always tough to actually make. But Steam have done that in the past couple of months. They brought out their streaming app for phones, and I was playing with it last week, and it works really well actually. Even across Wi-Fi, you can't tell there's lag. You can hook up a Bluetooth pad to it. So as long as you've got an Android phone, you could hook up a PS4 pad, Xbox pad, doesn't matter, and just stream it from your PC. And yeah, it works surprisingly well.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Because it's
I mean, it gives.
Go on, Steve. After you.
No, I was just going to say, for people who don't necessarily have 5 TVs in the house like you do, Antony, if you want to play on your phone in bed or while somebody's got the TV, you could just play on an iPad or a mobile device. It gives, albeit a tiny screen, but if it, like you say, if there's no visible lag and the quality of the stream is good, it's serves a purpose.
It really does. I was just about to go, how dare you, sure. 5 TVs? And then I counted. I was like, no, actually, there are 5 TVs in this house.
I've actually got 8, but let's keep quiet.
Let's just move on. And then, so that was on Sunday, and then early hours of Monday morning, ridiculously early if you're in the UK and Europe. We had Bethesda. Manny, do you want to kind of kick through that?
Yeah, we can probably whip through a lot of this fairly quickly because some of the games we've talked about in previous conferences, plus I'm just realising we've got about another 4 conferences to go, and we're
an hour and a half in already.
So did you guys watch this one at all, or did you watch it the next day?
I caught up the next day. I had work.
I woke up. I set my alarm for 2:00. Woke up, put my headphones on, and was watching on my iPad, and then fell asleep.
So this was probably my favourite conference, I think, out of all of them. It was high quality. It was very fast. They showed a ton of stuff there, which was great, and they just kind of got on with it, which was nice. So they sort of they kicked off with a performance from Andrew WK, if you remember him from 90s and 2000 hits, such as Party Hard and so on and so forth. He's a long-haired rocker, and Steve's face right now is the face of everybody in the crowd because nobody knew who the hell he was. It was the most bizarre thing I've seen, I think. He came out on stage, played a song. Everyone was baffled, but it turns out that was a way of leading into a bunch of footage of Rage 2. So his songs, I think, play quite a prominent part in the marketing, so that's why they sort of had him there. So yeah, they had a couple of devs on stage from Avalanche who came out and showed a bunch of gameplay footage from it, and it looks kind of great, actually. I was surprised by it, because I quite like the first game, but this is taking it in a much more colourful direction. So the first game had this kind of this tone of anarchy about it, that, you know, the game logo was the anarchy sign and so on and so forth, but they never really leaned into it that much. But this game is definitely going for it, because it's colourful, it's vibrant. The sort of the weapons look really good. There's a bunch of mad stuff in there to do with physics, which looks great. And obviously, it's the same engine that powered Mad Max. I don't know if either of you played that.
Yeah,
previously.
The Avalanche. Is it Avalanche engine or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So it looks absolutely beautiful. So yeah, it's one of those games that I was quite surprised by, because I wasn't sure what they were going to do with it. But I think I really like the sort of direction that they've taken it in. It's not taking itself seriously at all. So yeah, we had Rage 2, and then we moved on from there to something else. I'm just looking at my notes. Doom. Okay, so the next one was Doom. They showed the trailer, and it was very clearly the Doom 2 remake kind of thing, because they showed the Hell on Earth part of it. You know, you see skyscrapers on fire, and it's very much set on this planet. Looks very much like the first game, same sort of thing, same kind of art style. And then they surprised everybody by not calling it Doom 2. Instead, they called it.
They called it Doom Eternal.
Where are we? Doom Eternal. Yeah. So, but it is basically a remake of Doom 2: Hell on Earth. Which I don't know why they've changed the title on that one. It's bizarre. Did either of you guys play the first game at all?
I love that so much. I played that on Xbox. I think I played that on... I played it on Xbox, and it was just incredible. I also gave it a whirl on the Switch as well, but I played through and finished it on Xbox, and I just absolutely enjoyed every moment of it. It's such a great game.
Yeah, it was fantastic, especially because it ran at 60 frames a second as well, so it was just butter smooth everywhere. This one looks very much the same sort of tech, so it's going to run really well.
I love the thing with Doom where you had to kind of get in close. You couldn't just shoot. You had to get in close. You had to melee, do kind of special moves in order to keep your health kind of running, and I just really enjoyed that. I thought it was a really good mechanic that you really it was one of those games where when you started playing, you didn't want to play anything else because you really got into that groove. You got into that kind of Doom groove, and I can't wait for more of that. It's just going to be great fun.
Yeah, it had that really good flow, didn't it? Because you really did, like you say, you had to run up and punch people to get your health back. So you were just flowing from one person to the next person to the next person, flowing them all, kind of like a Batman game, actually. Almost, you just switching from one to the next to the next. Yeah, hopefully they'll carry on with that. So from there, we moved on to The Elder Scrolls Online, which I wasn't particularly interested in, but then I remembered it was on the Xbox Game Pass now, so I might be tempted to actually jump into this and just try it. So they announced two new DLC packs for it, which are coming later this year. One of them called Wolf Hunter, and the other one called Black Marsh. Unsurprisingly, dealing with wolves mostly, and then a bunch of sort of heavy lore for the second one. I don't really know much about the Elder Scrolls Online lore. I know it's vast. There's a vast tome of it, to be honest. So this probably means lots to some people. But
they were going pretty crazy in the conference, weren't they, when they kind of announced all of this? So
yeah, they were. Apparently, that game is meant to be really good. Apparently, it's meant to have started off a little bit rocky, but now it's meant to be quite a decent MMO, so I could be tempted. Maybe we should all try it, actually. Yeah,
it's on Game Pass, isn't it? So that gives us no excuse. Yeah, we should jump in and just kind of discover together.
Yeah. Where did we go from there? After that, we went to, I think, Quake Champions, briefly. Just kind of letting people know that game was still there, I think, because it's not been covered a lot. They moved swiftly on from that. They just sort of had the devs out just saying, it's still there, you can still play it, we're still making changes to it. You know, they've got their esports scene that's still happening around that game, so it's probably one of those things that a bunch of people got very excited about, but unfortunately not me, because I've never tried it. And from there we moved on to something that I was excited about, which was a new Wolfenstein campaign. So this is kind of like a pseudo sequel almost to Wolfenstein 2. It seems like it's, I would guess it started as like a DLC pack, but then they probably figured they had something special on their hands and branched out to a full game. So it's going to be called Wolfenstein Young Blood, and it's going to be set in the 1980s with B.J. Blazkowicz's two daughters as the lead characters on it. I'm very excited by that because I I absolutely loved Wolfenstein 2, as I previously mentioned on the pod. So anything that they give me in that world, I will absolutely lap up. I think it's great. Did you play it at all in the end, Antony? 'Cause I know you were tempted to play it.
I did. I played it. I thought it was fantastic. I didn't finish it, unfortunately. It's one of those things. I bought it, but I haven't finished it. So it's one of those ones I really want to continue playing, especially if this game leads on to the next. So I think it's definitely kind of, maybe before this comes out, I'll kind of jump back into Wolfenstein and finish it. I think I'm probably about 3/4 of the way through.
Yeah, it's worth seeing it, because those last few levels are stunning.
Really?
Really good.
Oh.
Yeah. Jose, we move sort of swiftly on from there into Prey. So they came and detailed a bunch of new updates that were going to come out of that game before the end of this year. That's one of the nice things that they do, actually, is sort of that this lot do, and Ubisoft do as well, is that they do support the games for sort of long periods of time afterwards. Yeah. So it's nice to see that game getting new updates and DLC, extending the life. Again, it's one of those games that I wish I had time to play, because I've heard good stuff about it, but I've just never had the chance to sort of delve into it. And then from there we moved on to Fallout Shelter, which is being released on PS4 and Switch, and I had no idea that game was as popular as it was, because they were talking millions and millions of players. I remember trying it for the first couple of days and then thinking, it's alright, but it's one of those things, it's like any kind of free-to-play phone game, isn't it? You sort of play it for a couple of days and you're like, I'm done. Did you guys get into it at all, or...?
I think I was the same as you.
Yeah.
I think when it came out, because it came out on not last year before, on Bethesda's conference, where they said, and this is out, that here's a new game, Fallout Shelter, and it's out now. So I think I played it kind of during E3, and then just hadn't played it again. But I was very tempted to pick it up on Switch.
Yeah, it should be a pretty good Switch game, I think, for sure. It was nice. It was nicely done, but it just didn't hold me. So from there, we moved on to the big ones now. So we got Fallout 76, which we've talked about a lot previously. That went down well. Actually, just thinking about it, Bethesda's press conference had the best stage as well. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yes.
Because they sort of had this. It was almost like a basketball court with two sides to it, wasn't it? So you had the crowd on both sides, and then a double-sided screen in the centre of it. And it just made everybody that was on the stage look like a rock star.
Yes. It was really cool. I mean, and speaking of rock stars, I mean, Todd Howard, what a dude. He came out. I mean, Pete Hines it's Pete Hines, isn't it? He's the Bethesda guy. So Pete Hines he did a really good job at that conference. I thought he did superbly well. And then he handed over to Todd Howard for quite a chunk of that conference. But Todd Howard came out with like a monologue about E3 being kind of like a teenager and growing up, and that it's now in his 20s. It did all of that, and then he just commanded the crowd. Throughout all of the announcements that he kind of did, he just had that crowd eating out of his hands. And I just sat there and I just thought, he's awesome. He's just absolutely awesome.
He just seems like such a nice guy. Like you just want to go to the pub and just chat with him, because you got the feeling he's got endless stories about things that he would be able to tell you.
I loved it, and a couple of times they swore, but they swore in really good places. They were like really good swears. Do you know what I mean?
They
I was
did,
just like, I was like, I
dropped
like
it
this.
at the right moment.
Yeah, I was like, it's not just swearing just to look edgy and hardcore. These were like really good swears in really good places.
No, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So he came out and talked a lot about Fallout 76, which he'd been through. And from there, they went on to something which was a little bit surprising, I guess, in that they've created a new game for mobiles called Elder Scrolls Blades.
Yes.
Which looks surprisingly good, actually. I was shocked by how good it looked. It looks like almost like a full Elder Scrolls game, but they've kind of whipped out the overworld, but you just play the kind of dungeon levels. And they've said half the dungeons are going to be curated, are going to be crafted, so they're going to be made by people, and the rest of them are going to be procedurally generated. So it's one of those games that you could kind of go back to and sort of grind on these levels, and then I guess you'd go through the story levels, which are going to be crafted with full stories and enemy placements and the rest of it. One of the most interesting things they did was play it in landscape mode on the phone and then switch to portrait mode seamlessly.
Yes.
Which I thought was great, because you don't really see that in any games at all.
No.
And he made the point that if you're sat in a meeting and you've got your phone in landscape mode, everyone knows. But then you turn it to portrait mode, at least you could be taking notes or something. I don't know. You're still using your phone in a meeting, so you're probably still being a bit of a git. But, you could at least get away with it. Just say you're emailing or something. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, so that looks surprisingly good. And I think that is out relatively soon, actually.
Yeah, it was. You can pre-order it already. Awesome. Yeah, you can pre-order it on the iOS store. I've already pre-ordered. It's free to play. It's free to play.
So you have pre-ordered something.
You have pre-ordered something.
Yes, I've pre-ordered something. Woohoo! Elder Scrolls Blades. Yeah. So anyway, because I was somewhere and I was just flicking through the kind of thing, and I checked the iOS store, and there it was, and it was free. So I just tapped it, and then you could pre-order. So which was really cool, because I thought, yeah, it's quite great. It looked really cool, and there's also town building elements to it as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
And it's just like there's like almost there's a roguelike as well, where you can just go through a dungeon to see how far you can survive. So which is quite cool.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, I have pre-ordered. There you go.
And it cost you a lot of money.
It cost me so much.
So much money. Okay, so from there we went on to probably the most exciting thing for me of the whole of this E3, which was they announced a game called Starfield, which is their next generation RPG.
Yes.
Which is a sci-fi game that they've been building since 2013. So it looks relatively far along. So I'm hoping it comes out in the next couple of years. Maybe it's one of the next gen console games or something. But just the thought of Bethesda doing a massive RPG in space, which is kind of Mass Effect-like or something similar to that, I am fully signed up.
Yeah.
If I could pre-order that, I absolutely would, for sure.
They must have been happy that
100%
yeah, exactly. They must have been happy that the Mass Effect franchise went down a pooper, because
for sure.
they're like, yes, we've made way for Starfield. You know, they've been doing it since 2013. But yeah, they're all of those things, like you say, kind of sci-fi and Bethesda. It's just such a lovely soup of goodness.
It's just intriguing, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a really good interview with Todd Howard where he talks about this game, and basically it sounds like if they hadn't have picked up the Fallout license, this would have been the game that they launched with maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Right.
But because they picked up the Fallout license, they've just been sat on this and doing it as a back burner kind of thing until now. But that's given them a massive amount of time to sort of develop it into what they want it to be. So in theory, this could be one of the best games that they make. I'm hopeful for it anyway.
Yes.
If it's had that long.
Yeah.
And then they closed out with another announcement, which was nothing more than a teaser, but it was massive, which is for the Elder Scrolls 6, which is coming after Starfield, so that's got to be a good 4 or 5 years away. So that has to be a next generation console game, I think. But the crowd went absolutely crazy for it, as you can expect. And they did show a teaser trailer, but again, it was no more than sort of 20-30 seconds long, just showing Tamriel. I think it was Tamriel, I'm not entirely sure. Just to sort of fly by a bit, but I kind of like what they've done. I really like what they did with this press conference, because they showed you a whole gamut of stuff, from stuff that's coming out now, stuff that's coming out in a couple of months, stuff that's coming out next year, and then they gave you the roadmap for where they're going in the next sort of 5 or 6 years, which was great, because it fills in all those details, all those gaps about what they've got coming up. So this, to be honest, this was one of my favourite press conferences. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, before we Manny score this, we didn't Manny score Xbox. So let's just kind of roll back. Yeah. We didn't say, what was your score for Xbox, Manny?
On my notes, I put down like a 9 out of 10, because I didn't think they could have done much more outside of announcing hardware, which they sort of did.
Yeah.
But there were so many games in that conference. I thought, then they used the time really well.
I thought they really did. Steve, what about you? What's your Manny score?
I'd have probably said 8.5 rather than 9, just because there was a lot of stuff that wasn't necessarily theirs. But like you said, there were so many games in there that I think they had a really good conference in terms of, reassuring people that Xbox is the place to be and will be the place to be. So I thought that was a really good showing, but not quite a 9, but better than an 8.
For me, I thought it was a really good showing. I thought everyone who came out kind of presented really well. The stage looked really cool. Those autumn leaves that came down in Forza Horizon were amazing. It would have been a good one to kind of be at and kind of see it. And I loved that the FanFest guys were going nuts for every announcement, which is really good. But I'm going to give it an 8, just because there was no Viva Pinata.
Fair.
I thought that'd be a 1.
You got to save your 10 for that, for sure.
Exactly. I would have given it a 9, but they deduct 1 point for no Viva Pinata. How dare they? And we never even got any backwards compatibility stuff. So 8. And then so Bethesda. One thing before we Manny score Bethesda is, and I'm keeping a track of these, is the one thing I really liked was the Skyrim Anywhere trailer that they did, where they had the comedy trailer where they had Skyrim on the fridge and on Amazon Alexa. That was just really funny, because normally those things kind of fall a bit flat, but that one was really funny, and it was just really made me chuckle.
Yeah, that's one of the few sort of comedy skits that I've seen at E3 that's actually worked. It was really well done.
So, what's your Manny score for Bethesda?
I went with a 9 as well on that one.
Nice.
In retrospect, I'm probably going to drop Xbox to an 8.5. Sorry.
Right, so I've got 8.5 Xbox. So, Steve, your Manny score for Bethesda?
I'd probably say 8, just slightly below the Microsoft one. But if I'd actually seen some gameplay footage of Elder Scrolls, then I think that would have bumped it up a little bit more. But like we said, that's definitely an Xbox game. It must be.
Yeah, for sure.
After Starfield, so I'm hyped for it. Yes, but until obviously, got to get excited a bit close time when we see some more actual footage of it, I think.
Superb. I think for me, I am going to give them an 8 as well, because I just think it was such a well-crafted, as you said, Manny, it's such a well-crafted conference, and normally they only kind of show stuff that's coming out in the next year, but they did actually kind of make a point and go, we don't normally do this, but I guess they're fed up with people asking, because no matter what they announce, they're always going to go, where's the next Skyrim? Peter Molyneux, obviously, is going to go, where's the next Skyrim? Where's the next Skyrim? You know, it's like, where's the next Skyrim? Where's this? Where's that? What's the new IP? So I really like that.
It's one of those things where like you have to assume that like everything's going to leak as well nowadays. So like you're not going to be able to keep a secret for 4 or 5 years now. So you may as well just get on top of it, to be honest. So this is what we're doing.
Yeah,
you'll find out about it in a couple of years.
Absolutely.
Until then, chill out.
Yes, it's coming. Shut up. All right. So next up was another one that kind of dropped on. I think that kind of dropped later that day. It was about 6 o'clock, I think, on Monday, just before all of the other ones started. And this was just a video that went live on YouTube, and that was Square Enix. Did any of you guys watch it? Did you kind of, because
I did. I can't remember a thing about it. I can't remember a single thing.
I watched.
So I don't know what that says.
Yeah, I watched half of it, and then I was like, no, I just can't watch any more of this. And I think I was making dinner or something. But the things that they announced in very quick was Monster Hunter is coming to Final Fantasy 14. So it was like Monster Hunter cross Final Fantasy. Platinum Games is working on Platinum Games and Square Enix announced a new game called Babylon's Fall. Just Cause 4, obviously, which Steve was excited about, as the 4th of December. And then Square Enix teased a new PC PS4 game called The Quiet Man. And I think, that's kind of that conference, really, in a nutshell.
Yeah, it doesn't inspire much confidence, does it, to be honest? Because they had a bunch of stuff they could have shown. Obviously people were waiting for the Final Fantasy VII remake. If there's any footage of that at all, just to see. But they didn't really do much with it at all. No
Avengers. There was supposed to be, they teased a couple of years ago that they were making an Avengers game, and with Infinity War Part 2 or whatever the next Avengers movie is going to be called out next year, you would have thought that would be the perfect time. Between now and that movie, it's the perfect time to release an Avengers game. We're kind of at maximum hype for Avengers, and it's now is the time.
Yeah, it was a weird press conference, to be honest.
I'm
not sure what they were trying to do with it.
No, it was really bizarre. I just found it absolutely just bonkers. So how much did you sit through, Steve?
I didn't watch Square Enix at all. I didn't watch
Zero.
It all. And by the sounds of it, I didn't miss anything.
No.
I mean, like you say, I think we chatted about it the last time we followed together, Antony, is that we assumed that there would be some Final Fantasy VII news come E3, but to not even show anything or mention it or because there was the rumor again that when was it going to be finished by? Was it something ridiculous, 2025 or something mad like that? We said. Yeah. So I mean, there's a long time for it to come, but give us something, and the games that they could have launched, obviously beyond the sort of the new games they announced, Babylon's Fall and The Quiet Man. The only other things that they've got really had already been shown elsewhere, and I think we said this before we started podding. The trailer for Kingdom Hearts was better on the Xbox or Sony conference than their own trailer for it. So it's kind of like, would you not save your best trailer for your own conference? Would you not want to deliver the good stuff yourself? But yeah, I didn't miss much by the sounds of it.
No, definitely not.
No.
Although it wasn't the worst conference.
No. No.
We're definitely going to get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a moment. So Manny's score for that?
Oh, I didn't even put a score against it because I literally couldn't remember a thing. Just off my gut, I'll go with like a 4, I guess.
Wow,
because it was terrible, wasn't it?
Yeah. Steve, you got to give it a 0, I guess.
Well, yeah, by default I have to give it a 0 because I didn't watch it. So yeah, that's the default score.
I'm going to lowball it with a 2, just because I started watching it and I was just like, there was nothing. I mean, I'm sure if you kind of like, if you love Monster Hunter and Final Fantasy 14, then this was kind of like ticking all your boxes. But this just wasn't. This wasn't for me. This conference wasn't for me.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was just shocking.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Next.
So, next up, and the kind of E3 conference breakdown, next up on the, I think it was about 9 o'clock on Monday, was Ubisoft, the kind of the bonkers uncle of the gaming world. And I have to say, I really enjoyed it. It started off with Dancing Panda, and it started off with Just Dance. So they kind of, it was really funny because just as it was starting, it was getting ready to kind of jump in. It was a little bit awkward. The pre-show stuff was a little bit awkward. And I said to my wife, to Nicola, I said, this is going to be bonkers. And then it cuts to that big dancing panda who kind of came in and they did that dance number. But I don't know about you guys, I really enjoyed that dance number. I really enjoyed that kind of college band kind of.
Yeah, it was
great. I really got into it. By the end, I was like, I'm going to go on iTunes and download an album of this stuff. I was like really kind of getting into it.
Buy a panda costume.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, hey Siri, play me some college bands.
Panda costume. Like, I can see you wearing a panda costume actually.
God, that would just be
I don't know
so
why,
cool.
but I can just picture it.
Can you do that and do the same number on your Ringo doorbell for us all?
Oh, absolutely. That'd be my costume on Friday. Do you know what? I was ready. If the Microsoft conference announced Viva Pinata, I was all ready to just go and dance at the my Ring doorbell. I was ready to do it. I was like, I'm going, but they never did, so that never happened. Well done, Phil. Anyway, right, back to Ubisoft. So they opened with Just Dance 2019, which is going to be on the Wii. They're still putting it out on the Wii. It's on the Wii. It's on the Wii U. It's everything the professor was talking. She was making fun of. It's on the fridge. It's everywhere. We're still releasing Just Dance on the Wii, which just makes me laugh. So we had Just Dance, was really cool. They cleared the stage, and then out came the team behind Beyond Good and Evil 2. And they just said they wanted to give us an update of where we are, and then they showed us just possibly, it was one of my favourite things of E3 2017, and it was one of my favourite things of 2018, which was the trailer, the kind of teaser, the cinematic trailer for Beyond Good and Evil, and it just looked absolutely stunning. I cannot wait to play this game. What did you guys think? Did you enjoy that cinematic splendour?
Yeah, they've given us an update on where it is, but still they haven't really, have they? Because like you say, it looks brilliant, and Beyond Good and Evil, the first one, was a really cool game and a really different game when it first came out. But is it still going to come? Is it going to happen? When's it going to happen? Like you say, they give us an update on it, but they didn't at the same time, because we still don't know when it's happening, if it's happening. Are we actually going to see any game footage of it? Because that was still very much a trailer, wasn't it? It's very much still cinematic. Nothing from it. So, is that a next gen thing, a PS5 or a next Xbox game? When's it coming and when's it happening? Because as much as the last two trailers we've seen do look really cool and they look really good, is this just going to be something that we keep seeing a trailer for, and then it gets knocked on the head? Or is it going to be trailer for, and then actually, come say like next year's E3 is coming out end of 2019? But from what I've seen as well, they are trying to get people on board with like the fans to get their artwork and ideas involved with the game, aren't they? So,
yes.
Did they bring a guy on to say send your ideas and your concepts into these people, and then we'll try and bring it into the game? So it's kind of like, well, does that not show that they're still quite deep in development and design of it because of the run out of ideas? Are they not sure of the ideas that they've already come up with? What's the it's great that the community can have a say on it, but by the same token, where does that leave the game right now? What point is it at? Where is it at? Is it still a case of we're still trying to build it? We'll keep bringing trailers to keep the excitement, but we're still trying to get it off the drawing board. So
I that sort of crowdsourced content stuff it seems pretty cool actually. If you notice the screenshot that they had for it just pointed to like a little billboard in the world. So if it's that kind of thing, if it's just that sort of small scale art stuff, then that's fine. They could be anywhere at this point. Doesn't mean that they're right at the start of the dev process or right near the end. But it's pretty damn cool. It was Joseph Gordon-Levitt, wasn't it?
Yes.
Who came out?
Yeah, that guy was Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and he was the Robin of the Batman universe. The Robin that could have been.
Yeah, indeed. And then I think he had to go on Twitter pretty quickly afterwards to clarify that people are going to get paid for the stuff that goes into that game as well. So if you make a poster or something, then you will definitely get royalties for it, which is cool.
That's really cool because, like you say, all they need to do is put placeholders in the code, because what they're doing is it looks like they're creating kind of really kind of vast, bustly environments, and then suddenly they might have thought, oh, it looks a bit stark, or we're repeating the same textures, so we want to do that. So partnering up with Hit Record, I think was a really good idea. Was absolutely superb. And the one thing that did make me laugh about this particular reveal, and also a lot of other reveals in Ubisoft, is that they kept the microphones on. So at the end of this one, when the lady left the stage, so when the devs left the stage, she was like, "Yes, we did it! High fives!" And her microphone was still on, so the whole world heard this, And I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt did kind of take to Twitter saying they got cut off at the end, and yes, as you said, Manny, yeah, you will get paid for this. But I thought this was fantastic, and of course the big reveal from this trailer was that Jade is going to be the antagonist of this game, so which was a real kind of, it means that Beyond Good and Evil 2 is a prequel to Beyond Good and Evil, because everyone's looking a little bit younger, so it's just I just can't wait for this game. And I think this game for me is kind of what you've been saying, Manny. There's a couple of games that you've seen and they're like, this isn't this generation, this is Ubisoft's launch title for the next Xbox PS5.
You kind of can't really tell, though, can you? Because we've not seen any gameplay at all, as Steve was saying. We've not seen a single thing.
We have.
That CGI looked amazing.
We've seen some pre-alpha gameplay. There was a whole hour conference where Ubisoft did a Twitch stream, and they showed the monkey whose name kind of escapes me. Is it Pidge? I think that's the pig.
Pidge is the pig.
Yeah. You saw the monkey guy kind of like jet streaming from pirate ship to pirate ship, and you saw.
Interesting. I've not seen that.
Yeah,
I'll have to check it out. So is it just a standard third-person action kind of game then, or what sort of setup?
That's
so the same as the first one, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And they did say that they're doing a live demo behind closed doors at E3 this year as well.
Oh, cool. It might actually release then. You never know.
I hope so. I'm hopeful. I'm ever the optimist, but I'm hopeful because this is a game that's been kind of kicking around for years, and this just looks stunning. I just cannot wait to kind of check that out. So up next, after Beyond, like I say, the funniest thing was after when they did leave the stage, you just heard the jubilance of the dev as they were like kind of very happy that they nailed it. And then after that, we had a Trials game was announced. So the guy came on and kind of Evil Knievel fell over the stage, broke something, and then announced the Trials game, which is kind of worked, but it was bonkers. So it's almost like. When this happens, it's just bonkers Ubisoft hour. So you just kind of take everything and just laugh along with them.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so new Trials game. So we're getting a new Trials game, and this was. I think this is coming next year as well, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, it looks pretty cool actually, because I do like Trials games. But Fusion was kind of not the best one. I don't think it was good, but it was just a bit too cold and a bit too clean. So this one looks like it's getting back to the just sort of pure dirty chaos basically of previous games, which would be great, I think.
And they also said that they've been partnering with the Trials University, I believe it was, which is the kind of YouTube stream that helps you get through the different levels, etc. So yeah, they did say that Trials Rising, which is the name of the game, will be releasing in February 2019. We got another one, Steve, and there will be a beta very soon. So up on the screen when they announced the date, it said that there's a beta. You can go over to Trials Rising and sign up for a beta.
Amazing. I will do that straight after this. I didn't know that.
Yep. And then after that, we had the Division 2. So they came out and gave us a bit of Division 2, kind of pretty much what we've been talking about. That they're going to have post-campaign character progression, 8-person raids, and 3 DLC episodes as well. So they're bringing raids to the Division.
Yeah, which be fantastic. Did they say the player count on the raids?
Yeah, 8.
8 in total. Mm-hmm. Pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool. That'd be good fun to kind of go through, and then so it just makes that game even more and more kind of pleasing. And like I say, the fact that they're kind of free DLC, because what they said, I think they realised that the last one kind of split the player base, because not everyone wants to stump up for the season pass and the continual levels. So they've I think a lot of publishers are realising now that they need to kind of bring out free DLC to just kind of keep everyone at the same level.
Yep, makes sense. Keep everybody playing the same game.
And then up next was Mario plus Rabbids. So they had a whole section with the great Grant Kirkhope came out and did an orchestral kind of... I thought they were going to break into like a DK rap or something, but it was a really good piece, which was kind of announcing the Donkey Kong expansion, which arrives later in June for Mario plus Rabbids, which I thought was quite exciting. Did either of you play that? Did you play that, Steve? Did you play?
Yeah, I did. I think I did the first world, then I left it at that because it was good. It's a good game. It's a really good game, but I think that for me was just enough for me in terms of did the first sort of world, the first section, left it at that, and the Rabbids were kind of, I think, Ubisoft's answer to Minions, weren't they? I think in a way, which I don't think quite took off, but the actual game Mario and Rabbids I thought was quite a good outing for both Rabbids and for Mario as well, because it was good for Nintendo to let that license go to somebody else to have their own little input in, and bizarrely Mario in a sort of an XCOM sort of top-down strategy game works. As mad as the story is in there, it does work, and it was a good game, but I haven't played it since then, but it's good that they are supporting it with more content, because it's good that they're keeping that alive, and Nintendo are happy for them to keep that alive as well.
Absolutely, and I really, it's a game that sits on my Switch, and I play it every now and then. It's kind of ramping up its difficulty now, but I just really enjoy it. Every now and then, just jumping into that like strategy-based game. And as you say, it's when we saw that last year, seeing Mario with a gun and things like that, it was just absolutely bonkers. So, continuing that with Donkey Kong, it looks very cool. And like I say, the musical interlude that we had with Grant Kirkhope was fantastic. There were some really cool musicians that were just like really kind of rocking. I just really, really enjoyed it. So that was kind of the Donkey Kong expansion, like I say, that comes later this month. And then, kind of continuing in the Nintendo theme, they showed off Starlink Battle for Atlas, which is the toy-to-life space adventure game, which looked really cool. But then they introduced Miyamoto, who was in the audience yet again.
Everybody's favourite uncle.
Exactly. He's just so nice. You just want to give him a big hug, don't you? You just really want to kind of. And then they announced that Star Fox will be coming to the Switch version only of Starlink. So I just thought this was fantastic.
Did you get excited about this last year? I vaguely seem to remember you thinking that it looked good. Anthony, am I making that up?
No, that was Matt.
Someone got really excited. It was Matt. It was Matt. I remember one of us did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we all thought Toys for Life was gone, but the resurrection.
Yes, absolutely. No, Matt got quite excited. It's quite interesting because you can pre-order it now, and you can get the Star Fox Star Wing, I believe it's called, is kind of available on the Switch version, so you can build that as kind of part of the Toys to Life. That'll look cool on your shelf, if nothing.
This is the one where you can build like modular spacecraft, is that right? So you can swap out bits of it.
Yes.
Am I making that up? So you don't just buy a toy, you buy parts of it and then they sort of clip together.
I think so, yes. Yeah. I think you're absolutely spot on. Yeah. No, it looks really cool.
That might be a cool little spin on it, that actually. Might be nice.
Yeah. And then next up, they had the hardcore For Honor guy came out, who was big and scary, and he kind of came out, spouted some numbers about For Honor, and basically just saying that they're continuing to support it. They showed us a new trailer for kind of more factions that are coming to For Honor, and then also that it's available for free all week on PC as well.
Which is great. Have you guys delved into it at all or tried it?
No, I played it when it first came out. I think we got sent a review code, and I played it when it first came out for on the Xbox, and it looked absolutely fantastic. But you've been jumping into it recently, haven't you, Manny?
Yeah, I've been playing it with a couple of guys from work, and it's surprisingly good actually, because it normally I find that online games that aren't shooters, if you're playing something with sword combat or something, it just doesn't. Nothing ever feels quite right because of the lag and stuff is just slightly off. But this plays really, really, really well. It's almost like a Street Fighter game almost, because you get these different characters and they've all got the different move sets and so on and so forth. So if you want to be a big heavy clubber dude, you can do that. Or if you want to be a little nimble character, you can play as one. So it caters to a lot of different play styles and such. And people that might be good at combat can wade in, and people that are not so good at combat can just go around and capture points and so on and so forth. So it's really good, like very, very deep, very, very good. So if it's free, then yeah, you should definitely try it.
Wow, that's just so cool. So yeah, so they bring in kind of a new faction, which is Warriors of the Wu Ling, and that's coming as part of a Marching Fire DLC that's coming soon. And that's cool. That's coming. I think they said it's due to arrive in October some point. So that looks really good. It's like, as you said before, it's really good to see that these guys are continuing to support their games. Even a game that's come out a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I think between that and Rainbow Six Siege, UB have done really well.
Yes.
Really, really well with the teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And then up next was the Crew 2. So they said that the Crew 2 gets an open beta all next week. So next week, so it's coming out at the end of June, but all next week from the 21st of June, you'll be able to play the open beta of Crew 2 on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, and you can preload it now. That was their kind of thing. It was like, it's available now, but it doesn't unlock until the 21st of June.
Great. I'm extremely tempted by that again. The first one was better than you might think it. But it's better than you might have thought that it would have been. When you see the size of that map and so on and so forth, you might think it's they'd be stretched thin, but it's actually a really good little racing game. It's good fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it was kind of like I was talking to you and Matt, where I was talking about that I wanted a kind of American racing game, and you're like, it already exists. It's the Crew, and I was like, what? Yeah. What is this game? How did I miss it? So it was quite interesting. So I'm quite looking forward to jumping in. I'm going to jump into the beta and just go to the open beta and just kind of see kind of what it's like and what it's about.
Yeah, if you drive, I suspect if you in the first Crew anyway, if you drive coast to coast in that game, it would probably take you like an hour and a half or something. It's a vast map. There's tons and tons of stuff on there. So
that's so cool. And then next up, I've just lost where I was. And next up, they had the pirate game. So Ubisoft's pirate game, which was not Sea of Thieves. It was Skull and Bones. So they've
been thieving the seas.
Exactly. They had kind of a Sea of Thieves like game, Skull and Bones, and I just thought, it looked good. It seemed to be more single player. It seemed like you were kind of controlling the ship, and you could switch to someone in the crow's nest, switch back to the. It looks like it was the piratey bit of Assassin's Creed. Really, it just looked like kind of that.
Yeah, I think it is. It's the mode from Assassin's Creed Black Flag, if I remember rightly, which was one of the best ones they've done.
Yes,
but just sort of strung out into a proper game. The one thing, that played really well in Black Flag, so I suspect this will play well also. But the thing I noticed when I was watching the footage now is after playing Sea of Thieves, it looks a little bit lightweight.
Yes.
Like the ships don't seem to have any heft to them.
No.
Like in Sea of Thieves, as you know well, there are sods to actually turn them, to stop them, to get them up to speed. Whereas in this, it just seemed a bit more nippy and a bit more like a little, almost like a racing game kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. It looked like you could just turn very easily. It was just like you could just maneuver the ship round, and they did show that you could be online as well, and you could bring in other friends. I think there was a big battle that was happening, and suddenly 3 other ships appeared. Your friends kind of appeared over the horizon to help you out. But Steve, you're into the pirate genre right now. What did you think of Skull and Bones?
Right, say. It's kind of, did they know that Sea of Thieves was in development? Did Rare know this was in development? It's kind of who pinched whose pocket kind of thing. But it kind of offers a different spin on it, because if you read about it, like obviously in Sea of Thieves, you share a boat with the people you play with, whereas with this, you man your own ship, and then other people have their own ships, and you kind of go along and have your own ship, because it's actually commandeered by AI. Like you say, you can flip between doing things yourself, but the most of the controlling ship is controlled by AI, which for you, Antony, is probably not necessarily a bad thing, but it looked better than it did the first time we saw it, because if I remember rightly, the first time we saw it, it looked questionable, shall we say. So it does look very reminiscent of Sea of Thieves in some ways. Like I say, that depends on what came first, the chicken or the egg, in terms of did they know, didn't they know, sort of thing. But whether I'll play it or not, I don't know, because by the time this actually comes out, Sea of Thieves will be well on its way into its extra content. It'll been out quite a few months, that sort of thing. So, will it have the same staying power? Will it be able to compete with it? That sort of thing. Like you say, the whole thing looks a bit floaty in terms of the actual mechanics. It doesn't look as real, shall we say, in quotation marks, as Sea of Thieves does in terms of its controls. So, how it'll fare compared to that, I'll be interesting. But just reading about the sort of the description makes me chuckle in terms of trying to invite people or get people to play with your party or your crew. You have to climb the crow's nest and see them through the telescope. And it's like, there's always some tower climbing in a Ubisoft game, isn't there? Somewhere there is always a tower climb and you have to look at something to spot something. But yeah,
jump off the crow's nest into some bale of hay of the ship. And
Yeah, so how similar it will be to Sea of Thieves, I don't know, but I'd give it a go. Even if it's just a boomerang rental, to give it a go and see what it's like. But I just worry for its sake more than anything, rather than worrying for Sea of Thieves that by the time it launches, sometime it says here sometime after April 2019. Like I say, Sea of Thieves will be well on its way to obviously all its content for this year will be out by then. So I just worry for its sake as how it'll hold up in comparison.
Yeah. It's really interesting to see like two games that have the same kind of subject matter, but are very different. You can kind of see the differences, but the similarities. Where this one just seems to be, like you say, very kind of single player, very kind of like almost a racing game. But where Sea of Thieves, you could sail and not see anyone for ages. Where this looks like that kind of ship combat is going to just be kind of full on. It kind of always reminds me of those, when you always have those two movies that come out at the same time, like you had Ants and Bug's Life, or Dante's Peak and Volcano, where it's just like maybe they didn't know about it until they announced, and then they were like, bugger, it's just like they got, and did they delay this because they started playing Sea of Thieves, going, oh, this is what our game. You can imagine those guys at Ubisoft, they all fire up Sea of Thieves on a Friday night, going, oh, this is what our game should have been like. This is what we should be
this
doing.
is better than our game. This is better than our game.
Yeah, no one show the director the Sea of Thieves. It's just like, but yeah, so that's getting delayed till next year. But it looked great. The seas wasn't as good. I didn't think the sea mechanic was as good as Sea of Thieves. It looked a little bit kind of a little bit video gamey. But apart from that, it did look stunning. It looked the ships looked incredible.
Yeah,
so
it seems there's more customization for it as well. I mean, from reading the bulletin, that that's something that it does have over Sea of Thieves. That you can customize the ship in more detail in terms of aspects of the cannon, the wheel, the equipment, and these have statistical effects on the ship, whereas Sea of Thieves is very cosmetic, which I think is not necessarily a bad thing. But like you say, this one's a bit more of a sort of a racing element that, like a racing game, like you say, to what cannon it makes the ship heavier, the slower to reload, that sort of thing, so it'll be interesting to see how expansive and extensive those sort of details are, and as to what effect they have in terms of how it affects you playing it as well.
Yeah,
I want a pirate ship with LED lights underneath and a massive exhaust on the back, and some kind of skirting around the side.
Yeah, the spoiler on the back.
Yeah,
nice, classy. I think that's
I think your local McDonald's car park.
yeah.
Well, that's going to be DLC for Forza Horizon 4, isn't it? Or McDonald's car
retail park somewhere.
Yeah. So, and then finally with Ubisoft, they showed off kind of, thanks to their friends at Walmart, they'd already been leaked, which was Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So Assassin's Creed Odyssey, they gave it a kind of full trailer and a full kind of launch, it's coming out October this year, and it's set in ancient Greece. And I think the kind of big thing for this is not only do you have it looks very much like Assassin's Creed Origins, but now you have conversation trees as well. So similar to kind of Mass Effect, you have those kind of so every conversation then branches off, and you can choose kind of what your answer. So which I thought was quite nice little RPG element, and also it allows you for the first time to choose your protagonist. So you can be Alexios or you could be Cassandra. So I thought, which was a really good kind of take, and then obviously it just flows through the rest of the game. So it looked quite good. Did you guys kind of enjoy the brief glimpse that they gave of this?
Yeah, I think I've briefly played Origins. I need to actually get back into it and play it more, but I really love that game from what I played of it, and this seemed very similar in terms of the engine capabilities, but it's just so much more colourful, because that Greek setting is just full of greenery and blue, and Yeah, I think it looks like it could be fantastic. I like that they're pushing more into this RPG style as well, so it's just giving it that bit more depth to it, because as much as I love the previous games, they can get a bit shallow. So the more features like this that they add, yeah, brilliant. All for it, to be honest.
And I did love at the end of it, they just as they kind of gave you a little sneak peek of a Minotaur. So there was so they're going to have mythical creatures in here as well, which I thought was quite nice. Somehow they'll kind of mix those into the play, and I just thought that was fantastic. That kind of got me interested. I'm surprised to see that this is coming out this year, because a lot of people thought that they were going to be flip flopping between Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed, but they're ready to kind of bring this out. So which I thought was quite interesting.
Surprising, yeah, very very surprising. Considering how big those games are, they must have multiple teams working on these things now.
Yeah. Must be. So this is set. So Ancient Greece. So this is set before Assassin's Creed Origins.
I don't know, actually. I'm not really up on my history on that side of things. I should know. I guess it would be after. Yeah. So you can tell us that answer at feedback@gamerslostmark.com. So we're all just like,
out there.
I tell you what, the thing that made me chuckle was they definitely overused the 300 kick, the 300 Sparta kick. There was I think they must have seen that about 4 or 5 times in that trailer, where they do the kind of kick from 300 with Gerard. Kind of that sweeping. I enjoyed it. I thought it was quite cool. I think if that's a button press, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, they've just made that part of the actual combat window, part of the combat moveset, haven't they?
Yes. So did you just Wikipedia when Ancient Greece?
Ancient Greece
before Rome.
The reflection in the background.
I'm coming up with non-specific answers. It looks like there's a lot of crossover, actually, so it may be roughly around the same period.
I can see his eyes. That's
what I would guess.
But bear with me a second. Let me just have a quick kind of. Now, it does say here in the Eurogamer interview article, it says that it's set on land and sea 400 years before Assassin's Creed Origins during the Peloponnesian War. I just murdered whatever that was. But yeah, 400 years before Assassin's Creed Origins.
Thank you, history teacher.
There you go.
How can you call that game Origins, though, if you're going to have a game before it?
Yeah. But they had a
Ubisoft,
shut up there.
Answer that.
Yeah, Ubisoft in your face. So that was Ubisoft. It was a great conference. I thought it was really cool. It was bonkers. So, before we move on to the next one, Manny score.
I think I went with a 7 on that one. Yeah,
good score. 7 out of 10. I like that. I'm going to go for that. Steve.
I'll go for a 6.5. 6.5.
Standard half point below.
Yeah.
I'm on to you, Carter. Hello. Right, so next up, the early hours of Tuesday morning was Sony's conference. Manny, do you want to kick us through that one?
Yeah, I didn't watch this one live because it was on at a ridiculous time. It was like 2:30 in the morning, wasn't it? I think
2 a.m. I got up and watched it.
Oh, crikey.
I got up and watched it.
Did you?
Yeah. I went down to.
Was it worthwhile?
You fell asleep during this
I've
one
seen
as well.
it since, but yeah.
No.
Was it worthwhile for you to stay up?
It was really funny because and you'll get through it at the moment, but they kind of had a big reveal at the start, and then I think I was saying to Steve just before we hit record, they kind of had this big reveal, which we'll get to in a moment, and then they just. They switched around venues, kind of where they were at. So it was almost like they just pulled the handbrake and they cut.
It was weird.
It was really weird. They had Sid Schumann and Ryan Clements, who are the kind of Major Nelson and Jeff Rubenstein of Sony World. But it was just really weird. It was really weird.
Yeah. So they sort of started off in this. What almost looked like a sort of wedding marquee or something, but a massive one.
Yes.
So it was like half wedding marquee, half sort of church hall kind of thing.
Yeah.
With these low hanging lights, and it looked fantastic. And then this guy came out of stage and started playing the banjo. So it didn't take you long to figure out this was going to lead into a Last of Us trailer, which it duly did. And that trailer, I think, has been a bit divisive from what I've read online. I thought it was great. However, when they went into the extended sort of combat sequences, I did think they sort of milked the violence a little bit too much for me. It was almost like they were just shoving it in your face like a teenager, like look at me, It was just a bit too much. It's like they were going out of their way to shock you, and that game doesn't really need that.
No,
it needs it during the gameplay at certain points, but it doesn't need 3 or 4 things in the trailer to shock you. So at one point you see somebody's somebody's getting cut in the stomach and their intestines are falling out, and there's a lot of neck stabbing in it as well, which I know was in the first one, but the graphics technology has moved on so much, it was actually making me a bit squeamish, to be completely honest. I don't know what you guys thought of the level of violence in it, or whether that put you off. Or
it didn't put me off, but it did worry me, because I did enjoy when they were showing the kind of gameplay, and they were showing Ellie just kind of down in the leaves and just kind of stealthing it. I thought, I like this. This is really cool. She's going to take them out, and then just to kind of see that when she kind of did the jump on those guys and did just that, I was like, I don't know if I can. Obviously, I'm going to play it because I really enjoyed Last of Us, but I just like having kind of 12 hours of that is going to be a bit of a tough slog.
Yeah, it was one of those, because I don't get shocked by stuff like that ever. I played thousands of games, and I very, very rarely get shocked. But there's something about it that I don't know. It just rubbed me the wrong way a little bit.
Yeah,
it's just that they didn't need to show that much anyway.
Yes.
But outside of that, the trailer I thought looked really, really good.
Yes.
The storytelling side of things looked great. There's a number of reveals in there to do with Ellie's character, which I won't spoil, because it's worth watching it. But the actual moment-to-moment animation looked way better, I thought, than the first one. It looked less robotic. The enemies, when they're searching around for you, they look like their behaviour was better as well. So they were sort of searching naturally, whereas before they'd go on these set paths, which didn't quite look right. And everything about it, I thought, just looked smoother. The combat looked better. The graphics obviously looked ridiculously good, just ridiculously good. Especially things like the combat animations where someone's getting shot, and you can see their limb move from it.
Yes.
Like, I know GTA games have done this in the past, but this looked even better than that, I think, because some of the GTA stuff was more kind of comedy. But this just looked overly real, to the point where, like, arrows sort of stick in and stay in your body, when you have to yank them out. So yeah, I thought pretty much everything about it looked like an improvement on the first one. I just wish they didn't go for that sort of shocking angle for it, because you don't need that in the trailer. Leave it in the game for sure, but in the trailer you just don't need it.
Was it this trailer where Ellie was shot in the shoulder with an arrow, and you could see it kind of in your health bar down in the bottom right hand corner, and then she actually kind of pulled it out as well when she kind of had a moment, and then you see the health bar kind of almost filling up again. And I just thought that was just like, I thought that was really cool, but.
Yeah, definitely. So that was great. So they had this massive long trailer in this wedding marquee / church thing, and then, as you said, the entire conference was just put on hold for a minute.
Yeah.
While they cut to a couple of people who were interviewing. I think it was Sean Layden, wasn't it, from the PlayStation, which was bizarre because you don't really get that with Sony conferences normally. It just looked a bit. It looked so weird to go from this smooth presentation to just having this random little interview off to the side. And then you cut back, and it's an entirely different arena. So they've shuffled everybody out of one place into another place, which then looks like a PlayStation conference because you get the massive screen, and it looks like your standard PlayStation conference at that point. But I wasn't a fan of that transition at all.
No,
it was just bizarre.
It was just like I say, Sid Human and Ryan Clements, they're great on the podcast, on the PlayStation podcast, but for some reason they were just a little bit. It was all just a little bit clunky. They just kind of looked a little bit nervous, a little bit kind of uncomfortable, and they could have done so much more than just do that and kind of take you out. But they announced a couple of new games there. They announced New Game Plus for God of War, which I think a lot of people. But they could have been their moment for here's another announcement. It could have Microsoft it at that point. Here's another announcement. Here's another announcement. But it was just a weird. But then, like I say, it kind of went back over to another auditorium, and it then was back into being a Sony conference, wasn't it?
Standard Sony conference, yeah. I think one of the first things they did was announce that Black Ops 3 was available as a PlayStation Plus giveaway as well, which is a nice surprise.
Yeah.
I went to download that today for myself, but it's believe it or not, it's 56 gig.
What?
which is rather a lot for a game that came out in 2015.
Yeah.
So I've got to make some space for that. But I've heard, I've not played it, but that's meant to be one of the better Call of Duty games in terms of single player and multiplayer. So I'm half tempted to play it. I don't know about did you guys play it when it came out? Or
I did. Did you play it, Steve?
Yeah, I did. It is good. It's good, but I'm more of a sort of a traditionalist when it comes to Call of Duty. That this sort of futuristic sci-fi sort of thing. I think they're going a bit too far with it in terms of lasers. All that sort of stuff. It is fiction. I know every Call of Duty is fiction, but I prefer Call of Duty to be set sort of in a bit more sort of grounded, a bit more grounded, a bit more realistic. I think it's a shooter. I think shooter and sci-fi should be separate. It'd be like Battlefield suddenly tried its hand at sci-fi. It's obviously they've had different spin-offs in terms of like Bad Company and things like that. But I think Call of Duty is better when it's a bit more grounded in realism. But yeah, it's a good campaign. Like I said, I did play it and I quite enjoyed it. But to me, I'm a bit more traditional when it comes to Call of Duty, staying truer to a bit more realism than sci-fi.
That is fair enough. I'm half tempted to try it because, like I said, I've just heard so much positive stuff about it. But
it's worth a free download.
One of the morals far out.
Exactly.
Yeah,
if you can make space, make way for 56 gig, then it's kind of worth.
I can't believe it's like 4-year-old game, man. That's crazy.
And it's all the multiplayer and all the zombies, I guess, as well. So you got
I suppose. Yeah, that's right. That's a massive thing now.
Oh, we should play some zombies. Oh, we should do some. Oh, that would be so cool.
Actually, I've never done that properly. I did it in World at War when it first came out. I tried it. I played it in that.
Yeah.
But I've not played a single game of that since then. But I've heard so many good things about it. We should try it.
Totally do it. Right. Sorry, go on, Kara.
Yeah. Okay. So we went from where do we go from Black Ops 3 to a trailer for Destiny 2, which I caught a glimpse of. Sorry, I was watching it, but I was sort of half on my phone at that point, and I was surprised because it looked like they were going to kill off Cade 6.
Yes.
Cade 6.
Yes.
Which is the character that was voiced by Nathan Fillion that everybody loved. Who, to be honest, royally got on my nerves in that last game, so I'm fine with them killing him off because he was just annoying. But I'm really surprised if they go in that direction because it seems like the whole of the Destiny fan base loves that character.
Yes.
So I don't know why they would go there.
Except you, of course.
Except me, yeah, basically. So we'll see. They have said in a statement that Cade 6 ends up paying the ultimate price, so you have to think that they're gonna take him out.
Wow,
but there we go.
Interesting.
Yeah, so more Destiny. I don't know if you're interested in that anymore. I've sort of lost interest in it now. But
I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for this kind of year 2 to then jump back in. Although we've had because I bought the season pass, so I bought the Ultimate Edition of Destiny when it came out. So I've got Nicola.
Of course you did.
that's my default edition. So Nicola and I have kind of got 2 expansions yet to play. But I think the first one was a little bit wishy-washy, but the second one was better. So it's kind of I wouldn't mind kind of getting those under the belt before this comes out. Was it September that this comes out?
I believe so. It's meant to be one of the bigger ones, isn't it?
Yes.
Because they do their sort of smaller DLC, then they come out with a larger story-based one. So I guess this is the one that you would definitely want to play. So we went from there into something that people were really excited about, which was a Resident Evil 2 remake.
Yes.
Which I've got to say looked surprisingly good. Like you think about that first Resident Evil remake, which was pretty good. But they've taken it a step further, and they seem to have remade the whole game. Like every asset, everything in there is totally different. I've got fond memories of that game, to be honest. It was one of my favourite games. Well, definitely one of my favourite Resident Evils. I'd probably go 4 was the best one, but 2 is the one that I've got fondest memories of outside of that. So if this comes out this year, which I think it is,
I think
I will definitely be looking. Oh, hang on, we got 25th January 2019, so it's in that window again.
Yes.
But yeah, this looks pretty damn good because that game could be scary as hell. I think now that they've redone everything with modern lighting and shadows and I've got good memories of being scared by that in my youth. So I suspect I will be reliving those come January.
Yeah,
I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, no, I'm all in. When I saw that was because it was 2:30 in the morning at this point, but I was like, I wasn't quite sure what it was, and I was like, what is this? And then then you saw kind of Leon, and then you realised, I was like, I was so happy about that. I'd nowhere to talk to because it was the hours of the morning, but I was so happy about that coming out because I'm the same as you. Fond memories of 2. I love the setting. I love the police station. It was just really cool. So so this coming out, I'm very excited. So this comes out next year.
Yeah, it comes out in January 2019, so it says. What happens? Because obviously all the games that come out in November-ish this year, they will normally slip anyway, because everything slips to like February and March time. What happens to the games that are due out in January and February? Because they'll have to get those out before the financial year.
Yes.
So we might just have a glut of games that are really bad next year.
Oh my god!
Anyway,
yes. Because everyone's trying to get out of the way of Red Dead, aren't they? Which is looks like it's looks like it's coming out, Manny. It looks like it's coming out.
No, I don't believe it. February 2019, I'm telling you, or March.
22nd of February 2019. That's when it's going to come out.
Yeah. So the next thing that was up on the stage was a new game by Sucker Punch called Ghost of Tsushima, I think it was called, which is it looks like a story-driven kind of samurai game with kind of very Dark Soulsy combat, so it looked very, very realistic. It looked like, I mean, there were a bunch of enemies that were on screen. It looked like they could take you down in one hit, and you could take them down in one hit as well. So it's kind of like Bushido Blade-ish. If you remember playing that on PlayStation 1, where you get that tension of, if you don't get your guard up right, you're going to be taken out straight away. Really, really well produced demo, I thought. Graphically, it looked stunning again, as all of these games do this year. But I thought the dialogue was really good as well, and the voice acting seemed decent.
Yes.
So definitely intrigued by that one. After that, we had what could only have been a Remedy shooter, because as soon as you saw it, you knew it was Remedy, because it looks like every Remedy game ever made.
I thought it was Alan Wake. I thought it was Alan Wake.
Yeah. They've just got that kind of graphical style about them, right? Where you can just tell straight away. It's that combination of motion blur and kind of slightly weird, loose animation, and you could just tell straight away. This looks very much like. Do you remember Psyops? Back on PlayStation 2.
No.
PlayStation 2 and Xbox.
No.
It's like a third-person shooter where you've got kind of these psychic powers, basically, where you can control things, like you can send crates flying, send doors flying, that sort of stuff. This looks like that, basically, but brought up to date. And it looked pretty good. I'm not entirely... I wasn't sold on it, to be honest. It looked decent, but I'm not sure it's particularly moving anything forward. I don't know what you guys thought of it.
Yeah, I thought it looked... Is this one that's going to be exclusive to PlayStation 4?
Yeah, it's called Control.
Right.
I should have said that stuff.
Yeah, no, this looks really cool. I thought it looked, like you say, it just looked like a Remedy game. It looked like Quantic Dreams. Was that there?
Quantum... what was it?
Quantum Break.
Quantum Break.
So yeah, it looks a bit like that. It looks a bit like Alan Wake, as you say. Kind of. So yeah, but I'm quite interested. I'm interested to kind of jump in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got your character sort of flies around, and they've got these powers where they can control objects, and that sort of stuff. So it could be a physics fest, which could be nice, I guess, on Xbox One X even.
Yes.
How about you, Steve? You interested in it?
Yeah, I mean, did any you guys remember a game called Second Sight by Time Splitters guys?
Yes.
It reminded me a little bit of that, really, because that was the same, wasn't it? That
Yeah.
you control stuff from afar, like you had sort of kinetic powers and the psychic powers. So
That's right.
yeah,
Psyops and Second Sight came out around about the same time, and they were basically the same game.
yeah. I thought it was quite underloved, Second Sight, really, because that was kind of after Time Splitters. They did that, and then that was kind of it, wasn't it? Really, but I really enjoyed that. I was thinking about the GameCube actually still, but yeah, it reminded me a little bit of that, which, like you say, it's not necessarily anything new, but it
Could be fun.
Could be fun. So yeah, I was quite interested in it. Yeah.
And from there, we moved on to a Koei Tecmo game called Neo 2, which I'm surprised at, because it feels like Neo only came out last year. I haven't said that. They've not given a release date for this, so it could be many years off. The trailer looks very, very similar to the first one. I don't know if you guys saw much of the first game, but it's very Dark Soulsy, basically. But I think the key difference with Neo is that there are actual distinct levels. So whereas Dark Souls is one massive sprawling open world, Neo is very much, you can play these levels and replay them. So it is as brutal and harsh as that game, but you're not losing massive amounts of progress.
Yeah, I played that because the opening level is when you have to get out of town, London, and you dress like a beefeater, and so I kind of played that, and then kind of got through that, and then I realised that game wasn't for me, but it was great. I played that, and I kept dying, and then I was just like, this is a really good game, I really like it, but it's just not for me, and I packed it back off to Boomerang.
I seem to remember. I remember listening to the podcast, and I think Darren really liked it.
Yes, yeah, I think he did. Yeah,
I think he talks about it a lot. I remember him liking
it.
Yeah. So from there, we went on to what could be the greatest game of all time.
Oh my god!
But probably isn't going to be. Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding. I guess this is the first time we've seen gameplay.
Yes.
And I have no freaking idea what this game is, even though I've seen that trailer must have been a good 5-10 minutes long. It looks like you are a person who is walking across a wasteland delivering objects to something or someone.
Yes.
And that's kind of it. I couldn't make head nor tail of it, to be honest. But I know I want to play it because it's bonkers. So at certain points, obviously, we've seen in the past that you'll be coming up against these supernatural foes that you can't see, but then there are characters that can see them.
Yes.
And everybody's dressed like they're in some kind of PVC dungeon, and It's mad. At some point, you're carrying a body. At one point, you're carrying a baby.
Yes.
The baby might be a bomb. No one knows. At one point, you're walking across a ladder, across a massive ravine with 16 different boxes on your back, like a DHL person from hell. I don't know. It could be anything.
It's a deliver-em-up, is what it is. You just it's just bizarre. And then they kind of introduced Leah Sado, who so she's a character as well. So they introduced a new character. So Leah Sado is the actress who was in Spectre and other movies. So she was introduced to it as well. But yeah, it kind of one of those ones where you're just kind of, they're showing gameplay. We're going to figure out what this is, but you just have no idea. It's just bonkers.
I just need to play it. I'm mad excited for it because I know it's going to be crazy.
And then at one point they kind of tapped the baby vessel that was on Norman Reedus' chest, and then he could see, or someone could see, all of the beings that were kind of hanging up in the sky that were just floating there in the sky, and it was just. It's just bizarre. Yeah. It's like, how do you take these on? How do you handle them? It was just, it was interesting and bonkers at the same time.
There's a theory that the baby might be a version of Norman Reedus, so it's like a DNA thing, like they funneled his DNA into the baby, and then he's got to protect it because it's a version of him that will then grow up, and it's like a time travel. I don't know. It's mad. Anyway,
but if you put all those trailers, exactly. Yeah, Steve's right. It's Kojima. I guess do you know what I might do after the pod? I'm going to watch all of the Death Stranding trailers and that gameplay together, and that just that'll give me nice dreams.
Yeah. There was an interview with Mads Mikkelsen and Norman Reedus, I think, last month talking about it, and they said he's a genius, and they asked him if they knew what the game was about, and they just said, we have no idea. We've done thousands of lines of dialogue for it. I couldn't tell you what it was about. Brilliant.
Wow.
That's what I want.
Superb.
So from that craziness, we went to another From game.
Right.
It seems like they've done 3 games this year, I think they've announced,
yeah.
which is surprising, actually, considering they're a relatively small developer and publisher. So they're making a game called Deracine, I think it's called. I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce that. But it is... it looks largely like a kind of horror-ish game set in olden times. The trailer looked interesting, but I couldn't really tell much of what. Again, I couldn't really tell much about what it was going to be. Obviously, it's PlayStation VR, so I imagine it'll be kind of relatively sort of straightforward horror line and shock value and so on and so forth. But does this tempt you to get your helmet back out, Antony? If you'll pardon the pun.
Superb. I do. I just think, kind of, when I saw this, it was like PSVR. I was like, I'm quite interested. It's, time to dust off the helmet. I just think it's really cool. Anything new for PlayStation VR. I'm still, I was surprised they didn't kind of, there wasn't any announcement, any hardware announcements about a new VR or anything like that. So this does make me still want to kind of just play something. If there's a physical version of it, again, this is kind of a rental thing that I'll just kind of have a play around. But yeah, no, it looked really cool, and knowing that it comes from a pedigree such as From Software, it's kind of it's interesting to just kind of break it out.
Was there much else on PSVR actually? I can't remember there being much announced for it.
No,
remember this, and no, I don't remember another thing.
They announced Beat Saber. And the build-up, that looks amazing. I cannot wait to play that. I remember Darren showing me that when that was kind of the first time he showed me kind of VR. And we did kind of a bit of a stream, and we did like a screen share, and he was showing me that. And that was just like that game. I was just like, I want that on PlayStation VR, and now it's on there. That just looked like such a great game.
Yeah, and there was a Tetris game as well, wasn't there? I think that might have been another one.
Bonkers Tetris Worlds, and there was also another one that was a little bit like. There was a little bit like the game that I loved, Moss. There was another one of those. I think it was called Ghost Giant or something like that, referring to you as the Ghost Giant. So it's very much kind of like Moss, where they're interacting with you as like some being. So there wasn't a big push for VR, but they're just still showing that there's titles there. Yeah, so I'm still kind of waiting on more PlayStation kind of first party titles for it, just to show that they're still backing it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's ever coming, but
no,
who knows?
No,
who knows? And then the only other thing I've got on my list here for Sony is Spider-Man, which I know you're extremely excited about.
I can't wait for this game. It looks incredible. It looks. You're a bit lukewarm on this, aren't you?
I think it looks amazing, and I've had good fun with the previous games, especially when they get the web swinging stuff right. But I always just find the combat really lightweight and really, really, really flaky. And you're put into a water tower, there will be a lot of water towers. But yeah, I always just find the combat really lightweight and really kind of unsatisfying.
Yes,
in those games. I don't know why.
Yes, with no Batman game this year, this looks like it's going to scratch my Batman itch. Because there was lots of chaining combos together, his spider sense was tingling, so when you had to press Y or triangle to do more combos and stuff like that. What did you think, Steve?
Yeah.
Did Spider-Man get you excited?
It doesn't. If you look historically at the Spider-Man games that we've had, he's very questionable, isn't he? In terms of the release we've had, and Batman was probably the same until we had the Rocksteady releases. So I think this could potentially bring the Spider-Man sort of with the water towers, as Antony keeps pointing to on his pint glass in the background. But yeah, I think this kind of has the opportunity and the chance to bring Spider-Man video games to life again, like the Rocksteady games with Batman. I'm not the biggest Spider-Man fan in the world, but I've the recent Spider-Man movie, the Homecoming movie, I loved that. I thought that was a really good movie, and I think Spider-Man, albeit it's had a lot of, again, Spider-Man games have had the same sort of the movies with how many people have played Spider-Man in the last sort of 10 years. There's been so many different Spider-Man movies, new Spider-Man, then another Spider-Man, and another Spider-Man. And I think the movies kind of now find its protagonist. I think it's kind of found its feet, and the video games, I think, will be the same in terms of this will come out, and maybe those games will kind of mirror the movies a little bit more. But I'm happy, like you say, it kind of scratches that superhero video game itch. We don't really have many superhero video games like that, so to me, I'm happy to give it a go. And swing from water tower to water tower and see what happens.
Protect those water towers. I just think the villains that they're using in this, which looks like it's going to be the Sinister Six, I just think this is going to be fantastic. And there's obviously Negative Man, who is kind of the main guy. It's
permanently pissed off.
It's just like a video game pundit. So Negative Man. So it just like says Negative Man, and then the Sinister Six, and they kind of left one out because I think at the end of the trailer, Spider-Man was like, "You," and that was they kind of left that out. So I don't know who they kind of have. It could be Doctor Doom. It could be Mysterio, who's potentially going to be the new villain for the next movie. So I'm quite excited. And what with this coming out later on in the year, and the next Spider-Man movie, which is Into the Spider-Verse, which is a cel-shaded CGI movie that's coming to cinemas in kind of November, December time. I just think the two of those things together are just going to be fantastic, because you're going to go into the cinema, you're going to watch this movie, Miles Morales is the Spider-Man, and then you're going to come, there's Peter Parker and Miles Morales in the Into Spider-Verse, you're going to come to this game, Miles Morales is going to be in there, it's probably going to be a DLC character as well. It's just going to tie in really nice. And I just love the look of that Spideyverse movie as well. It just looks so good. And that trailer's been seen something like, I don't know, 20 million times or something. So I think there's a lot of excitement for it. So I just, for me, it was just like, I cannot wait. Spider-Man went from, I'm really interested into this game, to, I might take a day off work when it comes out. It kind of went from that trailer. I was like, I might take a day off.
Fair play, man.
Proper pumped.
Fair play.
Proper pumped.
I think
for that.
Pre-ordered.
Red Dead. If Red Dead actually comes out, that'll be the one that I'll take a day off for, I think.
Yes. If it comes out. Asterisk caveat. Could you take one of those days off work? It's like, if this game is
whenever it's
released,
coming out,
I'm going to take the day off.
Yeah.
Super.
2020.
So was that the Sony conference?
Yeah, that was it. So I think we move on to Nintendo.
We've got to Manny score it first.
Oh god, what did I give it? I think I went for a solid 7. I've closed the document now, so I can't remember. But I think it was a 7. Okay,
Steve.
I'd say 6. I think I'd say 6. It takes a lot to get.
Always one below, man. Always one below.
I'm going to give it a 7.5 because of Spider-Man, because of Spider-Man, Resident Evil 2. It was a great conference. I'm just, still bitterly disappointed that we haven't got anything about this Final Fantasy remake across the whole of E3. No one's saying anything about Final Fantasy VII, and the fact that both Sony and Microsoft have had games in their previous conferences that we still don't know anything about, below that really cool cyberpunky 2D game that they showed off last year, and Final Fantasy VII. The fact that these people are just like making these trailers, dropping these little tidbits and these kind of little supercut things, and then just never coming back to them or telling us. So I'm going to give Sony a 7.5, a really good showing with some really good games, some bonkers games, but they deduct some points for just not showing me any Final Fantasy. so I'm going to give that 7.5, and then on to Nintendo. Steve, do you want to kick through Nintendo?
Nintendo did a thing, and that's about it, really, isn't it? That's all we can say, I think.
They certainly did a thing. They certainly did that thing.
Did something.
Nintendo did a thing for about 12 minutes.
And then buggered off. I mean, this is probably the quickest list we can go through, I think, really, is that Mario Party is coming to Switch, which is, fair enough. Mario Party is a nice little game to play on. I think I played the last one on the Wii U when it came out. On the Wii U, the short-lived Wii U. They're usually quite fun games to play with with friends and family. Them, so that's quite a nice little game to have, and definitely a rent from Boomerang, certainly. There was some Xenoblade Chronicles, is how you pronounce it. Some new DLC that's coming out to that. I've not played that one, admittedly, but there's some more content coming out this way. The Golden Country, that's coming out in September, so that adds a little bit more to the game, and that's something about having a refined battle system as well. So I don't know if that means they've changed it or updated it since it came out, but I don't know if either of you guys have played that, but not playing it, I'm not entirely sure what that really alludes to be honest. But yeah,
no, I've not tried it.
No, it's not my cup of tea, but it's either way, it's getting some extra support later on this year. As Fortnite's coming out, that's out now. That was announced as the same day, so they said Fortnite is coming out to Switch, and I think it was pretty much straight away their time, but it was the evening in UK time. So that's now a thing on Switch. I've not downloaded it, I've not tried it. As you can probably gather, the Battle Royale thing's not really my thing. No, I mean,
not really your cup of tea, is it?
I guess it's still free on the Switch. I mean, it's free. You can download it and have it on. I think there's some crossplay, but I've seen some people have issues with this really, because you can play across different platforms from PlayStation players or Xbox players and Switch players, but people having issues logging into their accounts from, say, the PlayStation and Xbox to the one on the Switch, so they've had to set up new accounts and start from afresh.
So it's Sony have locked it out. So right. I think Xbox, so if you play on Xbox, all your progress will transfer across, because you can sign in to the same Fortnite account on the Switch, so all your purchases and stuff will carry across. But for whatever reason, Sony have gone the opposite way and they've locked it down. So if you played it and you've set up a Fortnite account on the PS4, you can't sign into the one on the Switch with that. So if you've got characters and progress and unlocks and all that kind of stuff, you've got to create a whole separate character then and start fresh on the Switch.
That seems silly.
Which is bonkers. I don't know why they're doing it.
I mean, I'm guessing the crossplay works.
Yeah.
Does that still work, or?
I don't know. I don't know, actually. I'm not sure.
I think crossplay works on Xbox, PC, mobile, but it doesn't work on PlayStation, I think. Is that kind of what the big hubbub was last night? But like you say, it was also, if you'd already registered your account, your Fortnite account, or logged in on PlayStation 4, and then tried to do it on Nintendo Switch, it was completely locking it out. And it was, so there was a big uproar last night about that. So Sony are not playing. They're just not playing with anyone, are they?
No, it's crazy because it's just going to push people towards the Xbox version. If you got the portable version and you want to play it on the TV, not play it on the Switch, then you're going to go for the Xbox now because your progress carries across both. Yeah. So I don't understand. I don't understand why they do it. It's mad.
But that's out now. I don't know if either of you guys have played it, but from what I've seen other people saying who have played it, it runs pretty much and looks pretty much the same as the PS4 and the Xbox version. So that's quite reassuring for like I say, if you want to play it and you can't get on the Xbox, it's another avenue to play it on, portable or on a second screen. I think we touched on this earlier. Overcooked 2 has been announced, and that's coming out later this summer. I think Antony's game of the year, potentially. But yeah, it's it looks to have added.
It's just Nicola just shouts at me a lot. She just shouts at me a lot.
Have you heard about one of the main new features?
Yes,
Anthony?
Throwing food.
You throw food, yeah. Food. That's a game changer. For sure.
I just love it. You can throw food, and also you can take food to a plate. And not because before you're just panic going, I need to put this down because I need to grab a plate. You have a burger, but you haven't got a plate. But now you can take the kind of food to the plate or the plate to the food. So I'm quite excited about that because that's one less thing to be shouted at.
Do you reckon Nicola gets so angry she'd throw actual food at you? Do you reckon that'd actually happen?
I'm sure that's happened. That must have happened.
I'm just. The funny thing is that Nicola really loves this game. So much so that she's played it on the Xbox. We played it on Switch, and she just absolutely loves Overcooked so much. But she just instantly becomes like Gordon Ramsay. She just becomes so angry and shouts. So I am just I'm enjoying this, but at the same time I'm scared for my life. I really do. Just I couldn't bring her around to your house, Manny, to play because she would probably just kill us all.
It'll be interesting. If I'm going to go out, I'll go ahead.
You're we're not inviting the Chessons round anymore. It's just we're just
this is why we can't have friends.
That'll be me driving home crying. So this is why we can't meet nice people, because
for more than a minute
you shout at everyone. But I'm looking forward to the start because the start's always nice and easy. I watched the trailer today, and it looks like they're ramping up the difficulty on some of those levels. They look so much fun, but they look quite hard.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be playing that day one for sure.
So are you going to test your marriage, Steve, on this as well? Your pending nuptials on this?
Well, if I'm going to say pending marriage, this could be the deal breaker.
It really could.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play the first one, but certainly I'd be willing to give it a go. I'd give it a try, and like you say, it can test the strength of the engagement counter. If your hands start getting lobbed around the house, what are you doing?
You should try it out because the original is in Games Pass now. Yeah,
oh, is it?
Oh, cool.
Yeah. In Xbox Game Pass, so you can get the original Overcooked is in there. You should give it a try because the thing with Nicola is that she won't skip on to the next level until we've 3-starred it. So
right.
So I'm happy getting 1 star. I'm like, yep, let's move on to the next one. But we have to get 3 stars before we move on. So
you will not move
exactly. I'm like,
until we are perfect in every way.
We've got 2. It's 2. 2's good enough for me. I'm happy. I'm not an overachiever. Let's move on. But no, we have to. So if you're less strict, it can be a lot more fun.
Yeah, I'm not that sort of person. I'd be like you said, I'd be much like you. That I'm happy I passed it. Let's just go. Let's just move on.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's coming out August 8th, I believe. I've got in my calendar already, and that's available to pre-order on Xbox. And that's definitely one of the games I will be pre-ordering over the weekend.
Mm-hmm. Come Sunday, come pre-order.
I'm going to say, I'm sorry you haven't done it already.
I think it was announced today. So yeah, come Sunday, I will give you my count of how many games I've pre-ordered.
Get a tally going.
I reckon at least 6 minimum.
Yeah. And then what else? What else did Nintendo have? Surely they had lots and lots and lots of news for us.
Yeah, well, we're on the penultimate one, so yeah, we've got lots to go through still. But yeah, Hollow Knight was announced. That's out on Switch now. So that was originally announced for the Switch in January last year, I believe. But then it kind of went dark a little bit. It was delayed into 2018.
Right.
Yeah.
So kind of just went a bit silent on it and then pushed it back. But yeah, a number of different delays and things like that. But yeah, it's out now. So another one of those things that it's available today, which is nice to see. But yeah, a bit of a delayed launch for it. But yeah, it's good from reading the sort of the technical aspects of it. It runs at sort of 60 frames, and all the expansions released so far are available and included in it as well. So it's not something that I've really paid much attention to, admittedly, but to say that it's been delayed so far, in terms of being pushed back, all the extra content you get with it as well, it's nice to see as well, and it run quite nice and smooth on the Switch as well.
Do we know what kind of game this is? Do we know what kind of game Hollow Knight is?
it's kind of a bit sort of a Metroidvania themed, I think, from what I'm reading.
Okay.
So a little bit like that. Like I say, I've not seen too much about it, to be honest. I think I'll probably
it's like a 2D platformer with Metroidvania kind of progress. I think it looks pretty good. It's meant to be great.
So superb. That sounds like a good, a nice little game for the Switch for travels.
Yeah, but that's it. I mean, and I think we've kind of covered this sort of subject for many podcasts before. But I think the Switch seems like a sort of a perfect platform for these sort of games, doesn't it? Really, the smaller sort of 2.5D games that you can just pick up and on your travels, that sort of thing. So yeah, that's available now for $10.99 in pounds and $15 for those people. Those people in America. And then we come to the final piece of news. Smash Bros is coming out.
Great.
Ultimate Edition.
See, that's what they should have done.
Yes.
Like that, I would have been happy with. Just end it there. Would have been fine. Oh my god.
Yeah. But yeah, they decided to spend the best part of half an hour going through every single character and how they spell their names and what clothes they're going to be wearing and what the personalities and favourite colours are. And yeah, the Smash Bros. Ultimate Edition, which includes every character from the series so far, and I think they went to great lengths to show every single character that's liked it so far, and
every finisher,
controller
every
support.
Move.
Yeah, it's out on 7th of December.
I get that Smash is like a big thing. It's got a big audience and stuff, and there would have been some people that would have loved that. But I'm sure even the majority of people that dislike that game would have been like, "That's too much. Just too much. I can't take it all in. What's the point?"
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, like you said, if they just said the Ultimate Edition's coming out, it's got every character from every game. It's out in December.
Here's a trailer.
That's it.
Yeah.
There's a trailer.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That'd be enough.
Not, here's a second costume. Here's a third costume.
Yes.
This person's got 4 costumes. Let's look at them all.
Yeah. But have you thought about doing it this way? But it's
Here's every single stage. Exactly. Here's all the music.
Yeah, and here's all the moves, the special moves, and then the style. And it was just, I don't know who at Nintendo thought that this was a good idea. Like I say, I know there's people at fever pitch about Smash, but at some point they focus test these people, just show someone this and go, and people just, you'd see people reaching for their phones and getting bored. They would just be. I mean, I was telling you guys before we started podding. I was watching the Nintendo conference when it dropped. It was live on Twitch and Mixer and stuff, and we had torrential rain. And Nicola didn't take an umbrella or a raincoat, so I said, "I'll come and pick you up." So I kind of left when they kind of started on Smash. I was like, "Don't worry, I'll get back in time," because she doesn't work too far from the house. So I went and picked her up, had a quick look in the car while I was waiting for her to kind of get to finish work, and they were doing Smash. I'm like, "It's fine." Got home and they were still doing Smash. And I was just like, "Why? Why are you doing this? Where's the DLC for Mario Odyssey? Where's all those new games? Where's all that other stuff that you could be doing?"
I feel like I've played and finished that game.
Yes,
just like I've seen every single thing in it. So,
are either of you interested in it? Is it a game that you would play with a group or?
I've tried them before and I've just never been able to get into it. Like I don't mind those kind of games. Like we used to play Power Stone back in the Dreamcast.
Yes,
which is a very similar sort of thing, and that was great. But for whatever reason, I've just never been able to get into the Smash series. It's just a bit too frenetic. It's one of those games where I can't track visually what's going on the screen. I never know where I am, so it's like
too much going on.
Yeah, it's just lost on me.
Yeah.
I don't think I've played one since Brawl on the GameCube, which was a great game. But I don't, I mean, this had to be fair. I mean, it'd be worth a rental from Boomerang, But it's like you say, there's a lot going on with Smash, and it's quite, there's a lot of hardcore following, which probably will enjoy the fact that this is coming out. But for the average, let's say the average Nintendo owner or Nintendo Switch owner, shall we say, like you say, there's a lot more that they could have done, which we had the Pokemon news last week, the week before. We could have had a little bit more information about that. That, like you say, the DLC for Mario Odyssey. There's so much more that they could have done, and there must be so much more in the pipeline that is coming for the Switch.
They did show that Pokeball controller, didn't they? I think.
Yes.
If I remember right.
Yeah.
But that was just like a 10 second thing.
That was just Reggie. Yeah, that was Reggie, wasn't it? Just doing a kind of intro to Pokemon, Pikachu and Eevee. Which, as Steve was saying, they've already done that. So they spent time kind of doing that. It's interesting because they do have Treehouse style presentations. They have one today, and they've got one tomorrow. They've got one on tomorrow and Friday. And I just had a quick look while Steve was giving a rundown. I had a quick look at the news. to see if anything else came out of that, just in case they were hiding some good stuff in the Tree House events, and I can't see anything. The only thing that they did is said that the new Yoshi game is delayed to 2019.
Yeah. Just give us Animal Crossing, please.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was James's, but I don't think James, I think he's fallen out with Nintendo, hasn't he? You know, he's been begging for an Animal Crossing, which you'd for all money, you'd think they were going to announce something with us having the mobile game, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You'd think there was something. So even if it was just a snippet, just a sniff of, oh, by the way, there's Animal Crossing in the works. So it's like, even if it was just coming out next year,
yeah,
just
for sure.
say it's coming out next year.
Yeah, I tried to
just a logo or something.
Yeah, exactly. Just show us kind of they had villagers in Smash. I tried to troll James yesterday on our WhatsApp group because I was like, villagers, there's villagers, and then I felt so bad that I just quickly typed after that in Smash. You know, James hadn't even seen it because I felt really bad.
Just hoped and dreamed.
It's just cruel, man.
He would just punch me. He was just like he would kill me. But yeah, so it was. They have villagers in there, but yeah, they look really good. You know, in Smash, you know, the villagers, they look really cool. So I just want that in a Animal Crossing game.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe they're not going to do it. Maybe they see that mobile phone app as like that's where the series is now, and that's it. I don't know. I hope not.
It's still good fun.
Not.
Ali and I are still playing it.
Just the two of you. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, just you're propping it up yourself.
Yeah. Superb. So that was it, I guess. That was Nintendo.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
So scoring. Scoring.
Manny. Who are we going?
I think I went with a 3.
Yeah.
With hindsight, I might even drop that to a 2.
2 for Manny.
Because there's nothing. Oh no, Overcooked though. No, it's a 3.
Okay, 3 for Manny. Steve?
I'm going to say a 1.
1.
That might as well not happen for me. That might as well not happen. Like you say, they could have had these treehouse things, or just a Nintendo Direct, say, next month.
Yeah.
You know, something just to oh, by the way, this is coming. You know, just a little thing like that. Because, bearing in mind, obviously, Nintendo do this across the year with their Directs. This just seems like a Nintendo Direct thing.
Yeah.
E3 should be the biggest one. You know, save the Pokemon for the E3. Then they could have dropped the Smash thing for last week. You know, did that with the Direct with the Smash, and then put the Pokemon in the E3. But I don't know.
But you imagine if we hadn't heard of Pikachu EV, and then they did a proper announcement for that and this and some, or, you know, it could have been amazing. You know, it could have been fantastic. You know, Super Mario Party looks great. I'm going to play that because we've got a long flight. You know, that comes out in October. We're going on holiday in November. You know, so I'm going to download that for the flight. That could be really good fun. But yeah. It was just it was a wasted opportunity. It's almost like Nintendo just don't care about E3. It's just like, let's just get something out there just to kind of, you know, appease the fans. I'm going to give it the same that I gave Square Enix because I just didn't care about it. So I'm going to give it a 2. Which kills me, you know, because Switch is like riding the waves at the moment, so it kills me to give Nintendo a 2, you know.
This is it, though. It's got such a big year this year and next year, hasn't it? You know, to obviously compete in a different way to the Xbox and the PlayStation 4, that it needs to ride on the games that's coming out, but it can't just sit on its laurels. You know, it's got to have the titles to support it. And then just to be so blasé about, well, yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
it's 12 hours of Smash. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, the Smash coming out this year. There you go, coffee pop.
It's just like a really good chef just coming out with like sausages and mash and just going, there you go.
Yeah, that's 50 quid.
I don't care. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that'll be 100 quid. It's just like, there you go. Eat it because I made it. You know, that's it.
Yeah.
So on that delicious note, we do get Overcooked, which is really cool. So that's kind of E3. That's kind of so highlights, guys. I guess Manny, your highlight is the mad Death Stranding trailer. I guess
Death Stranding, yeah, definitely for sure. That's the thing that stuck in my mind the most, anyway, just because I need to know.
Yes,
I need to know
what it is.
What about you, Steve? What's kind of, as you've been kind of talking about it as well this evening? What's your highlights?
I'd say Cyberpunk 2077 is pretty much my the game I'm probably most looking forward to in terms of just finding a bit more about it when it's happening, if it's this gen or next gen. But I'm going to say Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm going to love that game when it comes out. Albeit Sora's got a different voice, but I can get over that. I'm fine with that.
It's just it's got older. So, you know,
the
voice actor is now, you know, they've taken so long to make this. The voice actor's now 42. That's why, you know,
I'm sure
he was 8 when they started.
That used to voice him.
Oh, really?
I'm sure it was. Yeah, I might have read. I'm sure I recall reading that somewhere. There was actually a female that voiced in the original, but
that's normally the way.
Maybe she's got older. Maybe she, some smoking or something. She's suddenly aged rapidly over the years now since we've got Kingdom Hearts.
I'm very, very convinced by you saying I'm fine with it, whilst also shaking your head from side to side at the same time. This is very convincing.
Yeah, maybe I'll just mute it. Play it on mute.
Yeah, just have the
dialogue down to 0. Yeah. Well,
there you go. Just put subtitles on and listen to some soothing music, or a voice track of the old Zora doing kind of whatever. So I think that's it. I mean, shall we wrap up, guys? I think we are going to be about 3 hours.
What was your highlight?
My highlight, I guess, Beyond Good and Evil.
Forza?
Yeah, Beyond Good and Evil, Forza Horizon 4. Yeah, I can see that being a ginormous game for me. So I think mine kind of is a mixture of Beyond Good and Evil, Spider-Man, but Forza Horizon 4.
Fair play.
I'm just got too excited. They were the ones that just had me kind of, very, very excited when they came on the screen.
Yeah. I would have said those 3 games. If someone asked me what your highlights were going to be before the conference, I would have picked those 3 out.
Yeah, I'm that predictable.
3 games right there.
Yeah. It's like, was there any Star Wars games? No. Okay, it's going to be these.
Yeah.
I have to say, though,
Batman.
Yeah, I have to say, hats off to Microsoft, because the Mixer 4K presentation of their conference was gorgeous.
Yeah, it was good. I had some problems signing into it. I still think that app is a pile of crap.
Oh, it's horrible.
But
it's horrible. Yeah.
Once you're in, it's great. Yeah. That was great.
Yeah, it was so good, and it made those trailers, when they had the trailers, for all the games and everything, it just made those trailers just look so lovely as well. Yeah. You just sat there and just like, I was really impressed, and apart from obviously having problems signing in this year, it didn't stop halfway through. I didn't have any problems. It was solid. It was really solid. So it was really cool.
Fair play.
It was really cool. So who knows what the rest of E3 is going to kind of bring up? But I'm sure we'll talk about it next week on the podcast. But I guess we should take a break, get to bed. We're knackered, we're exhausted.
I need a wee.
I need to go to wrap up, Chesson. We need to get out of here. Right, excellent stuff. Big thank you for listening. Let us know if you have any kind of highlights from E3. Don't forget you can send that to feedback@gamersoflostspark.com. Don't forget you can also find us at gamersoflostspark.com. You can also find us on Facebook, on Twitter, we're @LostSparkPod. You can also find us on YouTube and Gamers of the Lost Spark PS4 Community and Xbox One Club. Steve, where can people catch up with you?
So I'm Steve Carter 91 on Xbox Live, Cartera on the PSN, and at Steve_Carter 91 on Twitter. And don't ask me about my Nintendo ID. It's a random sequence of numbers which I'm not sure about.
It'll get better when we pay for it. Manny, where can people find you online?
I am General Garcia on Xbox and Steam, Presidente Garcia on PSN, and Manuel_Garcia on Twitter.
Excellent.
Switch, no clue.
Yeah, I have no idea. Excellent. For me, I am Chessman on Xbox Live and Nintendo Switch. Think PS-Chessman on PlayStation Network and Chessman UK on Twitter. Don't forget, if you have any feedback, please send it to our email address. That's feedback@gamersoflostspark.com. That's about it, guys. Say goodbye.
Catch you later.
Bye-bye.
That's so cool. Oh, that is staying in so much.